Now we're live.
You, I'm chomping on chips, so
I'm doing the same thing. I was eating. I was like, okay, we can do that.
I mean, they're in
Ignore,
chat. We got.
ignore the Panda Express that I'm inhaling at the moment.
It's okay. I have Chipotle chips and Chipotle burrito bowl.
Show notes.
Black Flag, you moved over quick. Or do you have Coldstream up still at the same time? Birthday party to go to, and I'm not working on homework. Hey, that's not bad at all. How are classes going? Up getting back into the swing of things. Then I'm hoping. Yeah, hopefully. Hopefully. Hmm? And people start filtering in.
All right. One thing. Okay? So if we, what was I gonna say? God damn it! Where'd my screen go? I have too many screens at this point. Okay. I'm gonna throw this over here. Do if I keep, what was I gonna ask?
I'm not sure. I'm good at reading minds sometimes, but it is Friday night. Gonna take a break from it for a little while. Plus, being over and like gaming with Cole right before this kind of messes with you a little bit.
Yeah, I
You
can
don't
only
you don't want to
imagine.
you don't want to try to predict what people are going to say.
Hmm. When we record in Audacity,
Mm-hmm.
export them as WAV files.
Instead of MP3s.
Yeah, don't put it into MP3. I'll put it into MP3 after I'm done converting it, but save it as a .wav, .wav.
Okay.
It's a higher quality, basically.
Okay. Do we have a folder we can dump it in at the end?
Um, Not currently, but I can make one. All right, let's see. Fire chat.
I finally gotten to the point on my Google Drive where I have to upgrade my storage.
Oh, dun dun dun.
Mm-hmm. You have hit the 15 gigabyte limit.
Oh, yeah.
Shit.
I destroyed the 15 gigabyte limit a long time
Well, yeah,
ago.
you save a lot more on Google Drive than I do. I have hard drives, like external hard drives. I save it on.
Yeah, but that is the nice thing about having fiber is they're like, oh yeah, here's a terabyte. I was like,
Mm-hmm.
yes, I don't have to worry about this anymore.
I do have fiber, but I don't have Google Fiber. We have a Dwyer in chat. We have a Wicked in chat. Black Flag was in there a little bit ago. I bet they're hopping back and forth between gaming with Cole and over here.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah.
Hmm.
All right. So that being said, do we still want to try the Craig thing?
Well, I don't know. Does it have a 40-minute limit on it? Is that what happens, or
I have no idea.
I don't either.
It says
I mean,
so, like, according to the website. According to the website, it says that there's no limit.
okay.
But it sounds like we're not the only ones who had a problem.
Yeah.
I'm assuming, yeah, because I think you were in the Twitter thread right there.
Hmm.
So I mean, I don't know. Like, I like the idea, but when I was talking to Nick about it, he's like, yeah, he's like, honestly, he's like, we don't use, they don't use anything. They use their local, like, everyone records their own. And I was like, doesn't that deter people? He's like, the thing is with DCP, they have enough of a following that most people are willing to put up with it. They kind of expect, something like that when they're invited on. And I
Right.
guess I think it's Teft apparently has like a binder of notes to walk, and he like walks them through. That's part of their pre-show routine for guests.
Nice.
Which makes perfect sense. And they also, I think Pope was on the, because yeah, Pope was talking about like how they're like us. They have like a triplicate backup process. Like,
Yeah, I saw that.
worst comes to worst, like, ultimately I can say, I mean, like, I have the ability to, I have like 4 different options as far as like where to get the audio. Granted, most of them are not the best option, but they are there.
Hmm.
But that being said, like, when I did do the top 3, like,
Hmm.
my recording. Oh, hey, welcome.
Hey, Spaltus.
Um,
Shit.
like, when I did the top 3 piece, I kept my local recording because,
Hmm.
when I was listening to it, it was like the quality was, to me, very noticeable. I don't know if everyone notices it, but like when I'm listening to it, when I'm doing the editing, I obviously have it at like really high volume with my headset. Like, I'm listening really carefully, and it's like the difference for me from my audio was like my sound was so flat. Like, it was just like
Okay.
not at all. Now, that being said, you and Beard sounded very similar, but also, to be fair, also I've never listened to you guys on a local recording. Like, I've always listened to you guys through,
Discord.
Discord, which, it's gonna be flat, like, because that's what Nick was saying. Nick was saying like the compression
Pew
on
pew.
Discord is
Pew
so
pew.
high
Yeah, it is.
that it's just like, he's like, it, because that's what I told him when we were talking. He's like, it's gonna kill your audio.
Pew
And
pew. Chew chew.
he said, and he was like, honestly, we don't use it. And that's when I was talking to him, and I was like, we only use it because, to be fair,
Yeah.
when we started
Thanks,
using it
Wicked.
was, oh, thanks, Wicked, thanks, Rexy.
Hmm.
When we started using it, Skype was constantly like shitting the bed. Like, we
Oh, I
couldn't get through,
remember.
we couldn't get through an episode without disconnecting 3 or 4 times. And it
Hmm.
was like, and then we switched to Discord, and we didn't disconnect once. Like, we've, over the past, however many years we've been doing it on Discord, we've only had like maybe 1 or 2 issues with the
Right.
disconnections. Like, every now and then we'll robot out, like someone will, but for the most part, we don't have any problem. But I also do recognize that being said,
if
it does compress the shit out of your audio.
and if we're recording locally, if we robot out on Discord, you're
Yeah,
still going
it
to get
won't.
clean audio through
I
the
won't. I
local.
won't. Yeah, I won't get. And that's what Nick was. He was like, then the only thing you have to worry about with local is, he's like, to be blunt. Some people just have shit audio. Like,
Hmm.
and it's not anything against them, because like they don't that's not their thing. Like they don't do podcasts, they don't do streaming. They're, you know, literally calling in on whatever mic they have.
Like cell
And
phone.
I mean, yeah, it's like, you know, the room could just be really poor dynamics or whatever. And so, but you do have more versatility as far as cleaning up. And the nice thing is for the most part, like Audacity is completely free. And it really, honestly, from what I remember, I don't think I configured much on Audacity. Like
you don't have to.
You install it and you get to go. Like it's not super complex. So I mean, yeah.
You set up the mic
If we're willing to try it out,
that's it. Yeah, I'm totally fine with recording on Audacity.
I mean, for us at least, you know, who's the other person?
Beard.
I'm forgetting.
Beard.
Hulk.
The Green Man.
The Green Man. You know, we all have it. So it's for us. It's not. It would be a good trial run. And then I mean, I can just try it out. But I didn't know if we also wanted to try, the Craig bot again. I mean, the Craig bot is an awesome idea if it would just
work.
Cooperate. I mean, I love the fact that you can do the notes. I think that's awesome.
Timestamps.
Yeah. Oh my god, the embedded timestamps are just it's amazing. That being said, I think you can do that in Audacity. I just haven't.
Eyes up, Guardian.
Just haven't figured it out yet.
Audacity has the plugin for exporting to MP3 that you can install. Yeah, you do.
Pins is back in the heat road.
Whoa, pins. 1750 for the bits. Thank you, sir. Thank you. Goodness. So, did you pick your Disney songs?
Yeah.
Blue. Okay. I had a request for you to sing it. Sing a piece from each of your songs.
Well, they're not necessarily lyrical.
Of course they're not. Of course.
Well, I mean, to be fair, most of the earworms that I have, I don't know. I can imagine most of them are going to be just like sounds, like, or not sound. God, what am I? Just music. There's no lyrics really. Where did my fucking pen go?
Your pin? Your pin?
There it is. I had to. I told you I had to rearrange my desk, so now everything is like in a slightly different location.
Because how many screens are you up to now?
I am not a fan
5,
of
6?
7. I'm not a fan.
7. God. Does anyone else play Satisfactory? I have never heard of this game. That is how you're referring to Beard, the Green Man? Also what?
Tigger Hulk.
Eyes up, Guardian.
Tigger Hulk? Thank you, Wicked. Wicked just took the lead. And did you see I know this is slightly old news. You saw the whole Borderlands 3 reveal, right? That they're going to...
The what?
The Borderlands 3. That they're releasing a Borderlands 3, I guess.
Oh, yeah. Sorry.
So apparently, according to somebody on Xbox, they can pre-order it already. Battle
Really?
Bits. Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I thought they were releasing it on PC.
They're releasing it on consoles, too.
At the same time?
Do. I don't know if it's on the same time or not, but according
I thought there was an exclusivity.
I
know for Outer Worlds. I know for Outer Worlds they are going to be released on PC, like almost for a full year before they released on consoles, which is fine because it gives me time to.
Release date on Xbox is September 13th.
Yeah, Epic though their PC loader, basically.
Yeah.
They have an
They
exclusive.
are.
Oh, it's exclusive for the PC. Okay,
Right.
that makes
In
more sense.
Borderlands is
I thought
Gearbox,
they.
not Epic.
Yeah, but I thought Borderlands was on the Epic loader.
Are they on the Epic loader?
Hang on. Yeah, Epic Store exclusive, 6 months.
Huh. Okay, so it's weird because they gave you the pre-order date for Xbox also on September 13th.
Yeah, I think what what I'm understanding is the consoles get it, but if you're
Mm-hmm.
gonna play on PC, you have to, if you want it, like on September 13th, Epic is getting an exclusive crack at it for 6 months,
And then
and
Steam
then
gets
Steam,
it
and
afterwards.
it's a whole,
Gotcha.
like, there's a massive drama going on with Steam right now. Is basically what's
Epic's
going
got
on.
massive drama too, but I mean,
No, yeah, but a lot of that is being, it's the catalyst behind it is that a lot of the developers are having problems with Steam. Like they're not, there's not like a lot of competition for Steam, and so apparently behind the
mm-hmm.
scenes, Steam is kind of like, this is what we're gonna charge you, and they just are.
Steam is steamrolling people.
Yeah, pretty much. I mean, yeah, it's like, I mean, yeah, pretty much. And a lot of the developers are like, for the same price that we can pay you, we can probably develop our own PC launcher at this point. And they are. I mean, that's the thing, is like Microsoft's doing it. What is it? Activision's always had Blizzard, so they're kind of doubling down
Right.
on that. All these, and like the bigger developers are all just like, and that was the other day. They were.
I think that's good because
Oh, I
I've
think
never
it's.
really enjoyed
I think
Steam's UI. I really
no.
hate it.
I think I've gotten on it like twice, because every now and then they have like free games or whatever.
Uh-huh.
But I mean, like, even I don't know. I even having it, I've never played it, because every time I get on it, I'm like, I don't like this. It's way too. I'm also not a PC gamer, so to me, it's kind of like, like, I don't care. I think it's nice seeing the PC launcher kind of stepping away from to be blunt, a monopoly.
Mm-hmm.
Because it's gonna be good for the consumer in the end.
It will be. Did you see the tweet from Bungie today? I know it doesn't necessarily affect you, but
Gambit armor.
yeah, that's my set, the yellow set.
I was wondering about that.
That's me.
I was gonna
I'm a
tag
sentry.
you.
Yeah, I found
but
it.
I was like, man,
It sucks because I don't even get the aura now.
Well, and see, the
But
thing is like,
I get it.
I'm like, I totally get it. I don't know what part is broken, but like, I guess my thing is, if you're gonna, I don't know. I this is just my 2 cents of uneducated opinion on Gambit is, if you're gonna disable one, what you should probably just disable all of them while you fix it,
right?
Because otherwise,
It's
that's kind of
an unfair playing field,
right. It's stacking it against everyone who has ground out that full set. Like, that's just my opinion.
But
I don't have
as far as like,
But
okay, so
correct.
here's what was
It has absolutely no impact on my gameplay.
Yeah. Here's the reason why they did it, and I can explain exactly what it is, because I literally did it for the first time yesterday, because we were experimenting in the private match zone for Gambit just to see what was going on, because we had seen all these videos about how to melt the boss in the first 3 phases, where one person basically does it by themselves.
Oh, wow.
I was putting in 67 million hit damage on the boss by myself at the end of it. And the way that you did it is there's a perk on the Sentry armor called Umbral Strike. And it is a stack type, it's a Slayer type perk where once you... Have you used Reaper? You know how Reaper works if you're on a weapon where... Or not Reaper, what is it called? Rampage. Rampage will double and triple.
Yeah.
Same thing with Umbral Strike. It's you get multi
Oh, but
kills,
it doesn't have
and
it doesn't have a ceiling.
well, it does. It stacks at 5. The thing that got
Oh.
broken is the fact that all you had to do was have one piece of Sentry armor on to proc that perk, get a stack of 5, and then switch your armor piece out for a different one that doesn't have it. And as long as you didn't hit a taken anything when before you took the change the armor off, it'll stick no matter what you do. And if you don't die after taking it off and switching it out, you can keep that times 5 to any taken. I could one shot envoys with a shotgun. That's how powerful it was. So it was
game.
It was super broken. Basically what I did it once during a live match, and I had like a little pansy in the back anytime an invader came in because I wanted to keep my stacks, because as soon as I died, it would reset everything and I'd have to start the multi-kill thing again. But we melted him. We lost we melted him within the 3rd stack. I didn't do any damage the first round. Second round, yeah, it's used up as soon as you hit a taken. You are correct. So, but if you switch the armor piece out, this is what was broken. That stuck. So even if you killed multiple taken, it would still stay there. So you didn't have it. It's not meant to be that way, because it would only proc it to disappear if you died, which resets your armor set. All the perks come back up as soon as you respawn with the armor set you have on, or you had another piece of sentry armor on. You couldn't have any sentry. It was rough. So yeah, today I grinded Reckoning with Issacle and a couple of other Hydra to try to get my Reaper set, because I have no armor set right now. It sucks. It's super broken. Super broken. I should not be able to do that much damage to Taken, but it was fun the one match I did it. Afterwards, though.
Okay. Let me pull this up. Audacity.
Do you want to talk about nature versus nurture in this game?
Do
you want to talk about? Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
Because I mean, it's the twins.
Yeah. Fucking Virgil. God,
Yep.
He's a twonker.
Mm-hmm. In some ways, Dante is too, but he at least has somewhat of a conscience.
No. I mean, that is 100% accurate. I will not disagree with that. But at least Dante, like, has, like, a passive attempt to not be an asshole.
All the time?
Yeah. I mean, or at least he tries to help people. Virgil just is like, I'm going to eat you. And it's like, God damn it, Virgil. All right, let's see. I want to...
Reckoning is fun. I enjoy it. Prime gets a little bit grindy. At least in my experience, it's grindy. If you're going in with a team, it's a little better, but that's the same for any of the Gambit stuff. Reckoning's the same way. If you have a team set up, it's really relaxing. It's not stressful at all. The bridge isn't scary. You go in with a warlock with a well of radiance and let them set up shop on each of the points, and then have a tether making orbs the whole time too.
All right, let's see. Is this working? There
Oryx
it is. Okay.
is pretty underwhelming as far as tier 3. The one that's in the pit with the big knights is a little bit more fun because it's always scary to have those stupid jerks chasing you.
Okay. All right. Are you ready?
Relaxing until people. Yeah. Are you gonna just count down for us to start the recording?
Yeah, I assume Beard's not able to jump in. I didn't see him say.
No, he's got a sinus infection.
Right. He said he was going to try to do top 3. Okay. All right, cool. All right. Yeah, so you want to do 3? Are you ready?
Yeah, or you want to start it after 1? Like
Ultimately,
0? Or I'm gonna do the whole like pitch perfect thing. I know it doesn't really matter, but
I don't care. How do you want me to do this?
3, 2, 1, click.
Click. All right.
Did you start?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh
I'm
shit, I did.
You didn't? Okay. All right.
No.
Stop. All right. All right. Listen.
New
listen.
system.
Listen,
system.
lady. Listen, lady. All right. You're going to do a clap down. 1, 2, 3, clap. God damn it, Baxter.
Yep.
All right. You go ahead and count down. Are we going on click? Is that what you want to go on? Okay.
Yep.
All right. You do it.
3, 2, 1, click.
Pins.
The most ridiculous.
Clamp and down. Open.
And open.
All right.
Oh, if Claptrap is in that game, I'm going to be.
The nice thing about recording on Audacity too is, and I'll also record on Voicemeeter just as a secondary backup too.
Okay. Excuse me. I'm going to turn my gain down a little bit.
Go ahead and pins. Help me remember to change the backdrop. Where did my mouse go? There it is. Okay.
Yes. Last 3 times we've forgotten to do that.
I'm really bad because I get caught up in the swing of things, and yeah.
I do too. I get it. I totally get it.
So, all right.
Oh, I have a wife pushing at the front door. What's up, honey? Where the what is? I have no idea. Is it downstairs on the? Okay, you're good. Okay. So this is where the cool lore kids hang out. Glad to have you here, Shaggy. All right. Top 3?
Yes.
Okay, sorry for the interruption. Are we doing this still without the live audio and stuff like that so you can sync later?
We can do whatever you want.
I'm okay with doing it without.
Okay.
It's a little easier than trying to yell over the music.
Yeah, no, I completely understand. Okay, I have the Voicemeeter backup running as well. So you are good to go whenever you want.
Sweet. Gotcha. Welcome to FFC Top 3, a show where we, your FFC hosts, count things down from 3 to number 1. Thank you for joining us. If you have a suggestion for Top 3, be sure to drop us a note in all the usual places, on Twitter at FocusFireChat, in our Discord, or even email us at focusfirechat@gmail.com. This week, fan suggestion of Top 3 Disney earworms. And this one, we have just Blue and I, so it's going to be a little bit quick, I think, compared to normal. I was really hoping to get Beard to sing a few songs for us.
I was hoping to as well, because I was giving him, how do you say it tactfully? Poop posting him on Twitter.
Yeah, that works. That works. But Blue has somehow managed to foil me before we even begin. I asked him if he was ready to sing a little bit, and he said, I did all instrumental kind of things. I'm like, grrr.
Yeah, I mean, like, I guess, to be fair, with Disney, my number 1 is an instrumental. Okay. My number 2 and number 3 are not, but, like, I mean, the earworm quality piece of it is not the words. It's Disney. They're really good at putting together musical earworms. I mean, It's one kind of
Those
it's kind of one of the things they do.
motifs, yeah, the
So
motifs are the hooks.
yeah.
They're always really good about that. And it's funny because a lot of Disney for quite a long time was built to be a musical. It
Oh
wasn't
yeah.
necessarily built to be
Well,
a story with music along with it. It was literally musicals each
yeah,
time.
yeah, and that's again. I mean, that's a good segue into my number three if you want me to,
Go for it.
because my number three is It's a Small World.
Oh
Like,
God.
I mean, to be
Yeah,
fair,
yeah, it gets stuck
it
in your
is
ear so
one of the
bad.
most recognized
Oh
earworms
yeah,
out there,
it is.
and it's just because yeah, I see Lady and the Tramp in the chat.
Hmm.
That's another one that's really up there. Um, but like one of which is extremely racist. But anyways, It's a Small World is like the thing is like even when they do the different iterations, because like it's the ride, right? It's the creepy animatronics ride.
Hmm.
But like even when they do, because they'll change it for holidays, they change it to be like Christmas and all this, and it's
Right.
always like you go through that ride and it will stick with you. Like it's like even if you hate the song, which to be fair, of all songs out there to get stuck in your head, that one is really actually kind of innocent, and it's actually a pretty decent. Like if you sit and look at the lyrics, it's like okay,
Yeah, it's
this
not
is kind of
terrible.
cute, you know. But oh my gosh,
But here's the thing:
chat,
is it
that ride is Friday
is
Night at Freddy's.
oh God, it really is. Is it the innocent Disneyland, Disney World, Small World, or the It's a Small World from Shrek? Because
For me, it's the ride. It's the
this
original.
the Shrek one cracks me up.
Oh no, yeah,
It's
yeah, and it's
granted,
like
it's not really It's a Small World. It's their version of it, but
right,
God,
right, and I mean, and I love when they have film. I was talking to one of my coworkers today about Ralph Rex the Internet,
hmm,
where they have they make fun of the Disney princesses, and like there's like the behind the scenes Disney princess where I think it's I can never remember the main character, the little character, the little so Sarah Silverman's character. Let's see.
I'm not
I
familiar,
just blank.
super
I
familiar with
always
that
blank
movie.
on her name. I have the perfect like God man. Anyways, she sneaks into the princess dressing room or whatever, and they're all like lounging. It's the scene where all the Disney princesses are lounging around in pajamas basically, and like they're like, you know, oh, do you have magical hair? Do you have blah blah blah? And she's like, no, what? Vanellope, thank you, Black Flag. Um, and they're like, no, what? And then I think it's Rapunzel, and she's like, does everyone think that all your problems go away as soon as a big strong man shows up? Yes. What is up with? And everyone's like, ah,
Hmm.
and
Hmm.
I'm like, oh my god. And then yeah, Pins is bringing up Meridia from was that Brave starts talking. Everyone's
Yes.
like, what is she saying? I was
Have you
oh
seen
my
the live
god.
actions version of that?
No, I haven't.
Oh, there is. I can't remember. Oh, Oh gosh, this guy. He was actually hired by Disney to do like Disney music video type things on YouTube, and now I cannot remember because he had Lindsay Sterling on it and a few other big YouTube names,
Mm-hmm.
female YouTuber names. Gosh dang it, I'm not. I'm looking it up right now. Of course, I'm going to be filling time a little bit. Disney princesses.
But yeah, no.
It's,
If you guys haven't seen Ralph Rex the Internet, you do yourself a favor and go watch it. It's freaking hilarious. I love the Wreck It Ralph series. Having a 5-year-old, I get a perfect excuse to watch them.
ah, Found it. So Disney Princesses Try Working Out. It's featuring Lindsay Sterling, Singh, Rosanna Pacino, and I Justine, and they're all the different
Oh
princesses.
God. Oh
And
no.
it's so funny. Oh my gosh.
Well, and then like later in the movie, Vanellope has the stereotypical looking in a pool of water and reflecting singing. And it's just
Mm-hmm.
all that like
The move on.
it just makes fun of themselves, and
Oh
I love it.
goodness,
I
yeah.
love it. But yeah. So like, but to go back, it's a small world. It's just it's one of those things that, and like I don't there I know there's this huge like huge piece of psychological I wouldn't say debate, but a lot of studies around what makes a I guess you would call it a
An
viral
earworm.
earworm. And
Mm-hmm.
I mean consistently It's a Small World is always mentioned. I have not seen any conversation like anywhere about earworms that they don't mention It's a Small World, because it just for whatever reason it just sticks in your head.
There's like psychological things and musical references as to why an earworm becomes an earworm, and it's the simplicity of the melody line versus the ability of those listening to it to differentiate what's being done.
Hmm.
So a motif is a musical term for a small a hook. Essentially, is the more popular version of it. And if a hook is extended over a period of time that is used multiple times within the song, it becomes an earworm because it's easily stuck in your head.
Yeah. I mean,
But
to be fair, and I'll mention this when we get to the top one. My number one earworm that is like I've never not had it stuck in my head. Thankfully, it's not an annoying song. It's not a Disney song, but it is also it's a complete. There's no lyrics to it, but
interesting.
yeah.
My number three is a song I used to use as an audition piece for musicals, and it is "I Won't Say" from Hercules, where Meg is basically lamenting about how she's not going to say she's in love with Hercules. She's such a good character. I
I
love her
love
character
I
so
love
much.
their portrayal of Megara. Like it's
Uh-huh.
completely inaccurate, but it's also
Oh
like
yeah.
it's one of those inaccurate ones that I'm like, I'll allow it. Like it's okay.
And then you have the muses, which
That's
are
what
the
it's.
best part of
Did
that
you
movie.
did you see? It wasn't. It's not. Was it WonderCon that just happened? They had a lady dressed up
Group
as one
of
of the
women.
muses. No,
Oh
it was
god.
just one of them.
Just
But
one? Okay.
yeah, it was like she was. I can't remember. It wasn't Mel. Oh God, who was it? Might have been. I can't remember which cosplayer, but
Which cosplayer?
she ran into him and she was like, "Oh my God!" She has like so many pictures with this one girl, and
Well, you have those living
it's just
statues. It wouldn't surprise me.
oh my God, it's one of those things where it was just such an iconic figure in that movie. It
Hmm.
just I don't know. It was like a visual earworm because now like the sassiness of the muses was the
Oh
best part.
yeah.
You mean
Dum, dum,
Hunkules?
dum. You mean Hercules, honey? Yeah, I love that movie. I think it was Minkin who did the music for that one. He always
Yeah.
has so many earworm type gospely pieces, and it's like, oh, I
Oh,
love it.
and that particular film was just ripe for the opportunity for those types of, because like the especially like that gospel esque genre.
Mm-hmm.
Oh my gosh,
Mm-hmm.
with those muses.
Mm-hmm. Yes, for sure. And of course, you had the one muse who was just like all about it, all about it. Oh, good stuff. Good stuff.
Uh,
What's your number two, though?
my number two is Bare Necessities,
Oh yes, there's a good
because
lot of good earworms in that movie
oh
too.
yeah, there are, and that was like the Jungle Book. That was the original cartoon Jungle Book. Because they've tried to, I don't know why, but they have tried to do like multiple reiterations of the Jungle Book,
Hmm.
and like there's been, I'll be fair, like to be fair, there's been a couple decent ones, but like I don't understand this fascination with like the whole like let's make a real movie out of it. I'm like, no, let's not, because I don't know, Dumbo is absolutely freaking terrifying as a cartoon. It does not need to be made into nightmare fuel of real stuff. Like,
Right.
but
And
and that's just,
it
because
gets
they
into the
just
whole
did.
debate about using real animals. And granted, they're not,
Oh
but
yeah, yeah, no. It's, no, and like, it's not even. It's actually not even that for me. I just don't understand what the fascination with like making these cartoons into real. Like,
well,
I can't see it as not being like Disney's like,
it's
look at us, we can do CG. It's like, I don't care.
it's not even that. It's Disney's trying to bring these classics to us, to the generation that is still believing in that they're classics. We're grown-ups now, so we're going to watch the live action version of the thing that we loved as a child. It's a marketing thing, I think, personally.
Right. No, and I mean, but I guess I'm just one of the ones that's out there. Like, I'm like, I have no desire to see. I guess like the Jungle Book, they did they did a live action Jungle Book pretty, um like when we were little. That was not bad. I mean,
Hmm.
it wasn't great, and it definitely didn't follow any of the cartoon. But like, that's the thing, is like, when you watch these remade live action whatever CG ones, they're not even following the real. They're not following the original story of Disney. Like,
Well,
it's completely
no,
different as well. And I'm like, okay, so if it's
and
remastering it, it's like, I don't know.
I think it's important that they don't follow it exactly to a T. Now, Beauty and the Beast did fairly like a fairly accurate recreation of the initial cartoon,
Did
but
it? I haven't watched it, so.
that one was good. I enjoyed that one. I watched the Cinderella one too, and
Yeah,
that one
Cinderella was another one that they've made like,
I guess
it's like one a
yeah.
year.
Yeah, they have. And I could take or leave Cinderella. Heard they were doing think I mean they've got so many that they're doing. They did Lion King or they're working on Lion King.
They're working on it. They're working,
Um
Lion King and Dumbo. Dumbo's gonna, I think, come out this
uh,
year, and
Dumbo is not a movie I enjoyed.
Dumbo is just nightmare fuel. That's what I refer to it
It's
as.
just that one
Um,
scene.
oh no, I
It's
mean,
like the Willy Wonka
there's a
of the
lot of
Disney.
scenes. There's the scene where the mom is in the cage, and it's like,
Chains.
yeah,
Yeah.
she's like chained up. She can't even reach her baby, and it's just like, I'm like, why are we showing this to small children? This is not okay.
But the thing is that a lot of Disney's movies were initially, now granted, Disney-fied movies anyway, but a lot of the initial ones, those older ones, were still stories that weren't as cleansed, I guess, or as whitewashed as some of them tend to be.
I would I would
Obviously,
I would put up on on display the the
Little Mermaid.
attachment A, Little Mermaid, as a
Uh-huh.
rebuttal to your
Or
non-gentrification of mythology.
or Cinderella and the stepsisters not having their toes cut off.
So yeah, or yeah, that yeah,
I mean,
I
there's a
mean,
bunch of
yeah,
things
I
that
guess
they whitewashed,
Bambi
but
did that. What
mhm,
is it? Fox and the Hound did that.
mhm.
I don't know. I mean, to me, it was just like, of all of their entire vault, or whatever they call the archive that they have, like, Dumbo just, I don't know. I've never was like, never got really, I never got into Dumbo, I guess, is the other
Yeah,
thing.
and that was not one of my favorites either. But
But yep. So number
those
two
are
for
like
you.
those are like the classic ones. A lot of
Mm-hmm.
my more favorite ones are some of them I would call them newer.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
They're not newer, but I would call them newer. They're not Pixar or anything like that. It is my number two is from Mulan, and it's the "I'll make a man out of you"
That's
because I love Donny Osmond
yeah.
so much.
My wife loves that one.
Oh my god, it's funny too because you have the guy. So Hercules and Mulan came out around the same time, and it's like the same characters. Instead of the muses, you had like the little henchmen that she had that were just this trio. They were the Three Stooges essentially following her around. It was so good,
Dishonor on
but
you. dishonor on your cow.
Yes, and Mushu. Oh my god, you gotta love Mushu.
Mushu and the
Dishonor on your
cricket.
family. Mm-hmm.
Mushu
Oh,
and the
what was the
cricket.
cricket's name? Oh
Uh,
no,
wasn't it just cricket? I don't think he had a
I
name.
don't.
Did he have a name?
Did he? I thought he had a
I'm gonna have to
name.
look it up now.
Maybe he
The
didn't.
cricket was just, you want to talk about a sassy character. Jeez.
And non-speaking
Right, yeah, he
sassy
never,
character.
it was the, oh my gosh, the matchmaker, yeah, the cricket and the
Matchmaker.
Cricky.
There we go. He's like the initial, and I'm thinking Moana that had the pig and the chicken.
Yeah. Hey.
Hey. But like the pig had personality like the cricket did. I love it when Disney does these characters that don't have
because you had
like they don't have any speaking lines.
Right, because that goes all the way back to like Pinocchio too.
Oh yeah.
With oh god, what was the cat and the goldfish in Pinocchio?
Mm-hmm.
Neither of them ever spoke. It's
Goldie?
Figaro and Cleo, I think, was
Cleo.
the goldfish,
yeah, that was her.
Pinocchio was another one that there was some
Nightmare
darkness in it. Yeah, there was some darkness in that one.
That's a dark story in general.
Well, right. I mean, and yeah, that was my next thing. I was like, and that was Disney's really gentified version of that because, oh my gosh, the original story of Pinocchio is really bad. But yeah, Pua is the pig.
Yes, that's the pig. Yep.
He's really funny.
Yeah.
A horse entangled. Yeah.
So many good characters like that. So many. And I don't know. I would say that they've been having trouble creating characters like that, but Moana definitely.
I mean, Hey alone, like, just my gosh,
the freaking him being used
rock
to hold paper and just like. I had chickens growing up. Chickens are some of the stupidest animals, and so Hey makes total sense to me.
I just love the scene where the guy's like cooking, and he's like, "Can we eat that thing?" Hey's like, he's eating the rock. He spits it up and starts
pebbles.
eating it again. I'm like, oh my god, they do that too.
They really do.
Oh.
The dog from Coco is another character like that, but the dog from Coco ends up being like her spirit animal, which is kind of cool. I don't remember what the actual term they used in the movie, but it's another not super bright animal, but a super loyal one instead. It's such good little characters like that. That brings us, though, we're already to our number one.
Mm-hmm.
You said yours was an instrumental earworm. I'm curious which one it is, because I'm going to take a guess. Is it the Parade of Lights song that they do? Because I used to have an
no, actually. So I'm actually skirting around getting you mad at me because technically now it is part of Disney's family. But
you're gonna do Star Wars theme?
It is a Star Wars song. It is not the Star Wars theme. It is the Mos Eisley Cantina. Yes. Yep. It is one of my favorite songs because it takes into account it's very akin to the Fat Man jazz thing. Like, it's just, not to mention, like, if you read, like, in the expanded universe, like, there's a really big story about that entire band, and, like, that entire group of characters gets really expanded in the Legends character, or the Legends story, and it's a really cool story. But like the actual song too is just so iconic for me at least, of that series. Like, it's like it's that ethereal sci-fi sound, but it's also really actually kind of
jazzy.
It comes back to, the roots of what we're used to seeing. So it's like still got that human-esque quality to it, and I love it. But yeah, the other one that I did mention is not a Disney one, but it's Lord of the Rings. Basically,
which one from Lord of the Rings?
I don't even know. It's the da 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 da
Oh,
da
yep,
da.
yep. Mhm.
Um,
So like, I don't
yeah,
know
I
the
don't
name
even know
either.
what it is. It's just that part of the refrain. It's just constantly running in my head.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm like,
Lou's walking down the street and it's just popping
yeah,
into his
bridge. I
head.
think is it the Bridge of Khazad-dûm? Okay.
Okay.
Like I said, I have no idea. It's just something that is like, I mean, granted, I also recognize that of all the earworms to have constantly stuck in my head, that is by far not the worst one.
Preferred? Yeah.
Yeah, I'm like, oh, yeah, huh.
The Hobbit
So
theme is not bad either.
yeah,
The
I just
initial,
no the original. Yeah. So yeah.
well, the Hobbit theme from the Lord of the Rings. So like the one that you
Yeah. Okay.
while Gandalf is getting like the whole opening credit scene. Not
keep it
when
keep it hidden, keep it safe.
keep it safe. Oh my gosh,
Okay,
that's a
creepy
whole nother.
Gandalf.
I love Gandalf.
Oh
He's
no,
such a
no, I
cool
love him
character.
too, but that part was like I was like, okay,
Oh yeah.
okay.
Talk about nightmare fuel. Talk about the Hobbit and the dwarves and the dwarf song.
I love that
Oh my
song. I
god.
love
It's
that
so
song.
cool. Like it is one of
The
the
whole
coolest
like
bass songs, but
the
oh
whole
my
stomp thing that's going on in it.
uh-huh. Uh-huh.
No, to be fair though, the song from The Hobbit that sticks with me, and it is seriously one of my favorite songs, just because the bass is God, I just blanked on what it's called, the Misty Mountains,
Uh-huh. The
where
Under the
it's
Misty Mountain
under the Misty,
mm-hmm.
where it's the dwarf singing about the
Mm-hmm.
story. Like, oh my gosh, like there are so many mixes of that are just amazing. Like just, and
I'm
it's because
sure.
that's that bass. Like it's just that just, oh my gosh.
Trying to remember, did Howard Shore also do the composing for The Hobbit? I know he did the Lord of the Rings,
I want to
but
say yes. Hang on,
I'm
I
not
can.
sure because Howard, I that is one of the soundtracks that I keep
Yes, Howard
as
Shore
a CD
was.
copy. Yeah,
Yeah,
he's a really
he's notably the
he's up there
scores
with
for the
John
Lord of
Williams.
the Rings and the Hobbit film trilogies.
He's up in like John Williams' stratosphere with me. And honestly, besides the Cantina song, I'm a little over John Williams. I know I'm probably going to get hate mail for that, but John Williams has a bag of tricks he uses in every song,
Mm-hmm. I mean,
barring the Cantina
wait,
song. And
wait. You mean he's a musical composer?
no, his bag of tricks, he uses French horns for everything. There are other
Oh yeah.
instruments out
Okay.
there. Like
I mean,
he loves his
Shore
brass. That is
does.
his big thing.
I bet Shore does like. I mean, he doesn't.
Strings.
He doesn't. He doesn't just do them. Right? So I definitely hear that. But his thing is like, what is it? Saxophone and flutes is one of his big
Uh,
things.
he does a lot more woodwinds. Yes, I don't remember how much saxophone music he had in Lord of the Rings, but
He didn't have
flutes,
much, but yeah, Misty Mountain's
clarinets,
Cold,
and
I think, is what
strings.
it is. It's
Yeah, I'm
Richard Armitage, I believe, is the guy that is the primary singer, and Jesus, his voice is amazing.
yeah.
Like it's just
I love basses.
that timbre of that just like it's
It is
amazing.
super good. A good bass is hard to find.
It yes,
Like
that is
like
entirely true.
Ari from
Mm-hmm. I
oh,
was
I
just about
can't
to
even
say Art
Pentatonics.
Pentatonics. Yeah, he's not
Now,
with them
granted, he's
anymore,
not with
but
them anymore. Yeah,
the
he's
guy
a
that
trained classical singer.
the God, man, I just blanked on the guy that they have that replaced him. Basically, he's also really good too.
Yeah, I don't remember his name either, but just the funny thing is I actually like the sound of tenors more, but I can appreciate a good bass, like since they're so stinking hard to find. But brings me to my number one, which is a bunch of tenors and baritones. My number one is "Trashing the Camp" from Tarzan, particularly the Phil Collins in sync version. I may have worn that out growing up because I love jazz. And that is like as close to jazz besides going to Aristocrats
Yeah, which
or
I mean, to be fair, Aristocats has a lot of good
oh
ones
yeah.
too.
but it wasn't as, it didn't get stuck in your ear quite
No,
like
no.
they dum 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 way ba 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 dum ba way. I mean, that stuff gets stuck in your ear, and you just can't get rid of it. And of course, you gotta love Rosie O'Donnell playing. Gosh, what was it? Teak, Tark, Torque,
Oh,
this
the main
the
gorilla, or not
gorilla.
not the main gorilla,
Yeah,
but the
yeah, she
faux
was.
hawk, the
She was
faux
like the
hawk gorilla.
friend. Yeah, she was the best friend to Tarzan. It's just funny. Her version of it too is really fun because it has that making use of instruments that are not actually instruments. So like the dishes and the typewriter. I just think those kind of songs are super fun and constantly get stuck in my head. But the Phil Collins In Sync one, I will shamelessly say that that is my number one Disney earworm. That if it comes on at any point in time, I will stop everything I am doing and sing it. You are welcome. So,
Another
whether
another mention. It's
yeah,
not a Disney movie. Uh, the movie Sing. If you have not seen
yes,
that movie is just awesome. Like
yeah,
it's got a great story. It's got like a really good story. It's really cute and it's really actually really just really down to earth fun. And it's also got some of like the most random collection of like big names, like Scarlett Johansson's
mm-hmm,
in it. God, man, who's the Tegan? I just blanked on his name. The guy who plays the gorilla.
mm-hmm.
Um, his songs are actually the ones that's another earworm for me. Is I'm Still Standing. Is like I just and it's like they all have disparate storylines that are going on, and they're all
Yeah,
doing like various Taron Egerton. Thank you, Pins. He is amazing. Like his voice, he's got a number of good ones. But like then they have like the Frank Sinatra mouse that's going on. Like it's just
mm-hmm.
like all of them have like, and there's like
He's
five
got
different.
he
He's
like
got,
owes money to
oh yeah,
people,
yeah,
like
it's
the
hilarious. Like
mafia.
yeah, it's the Bears as the mafia, which
Oh
is
my
just I
god.
mean it's hilarious. But
Mm-hmm.
like the whole thing is like all these little disparate stories going on, and they have the big one, and then yeah, the one of the main characters is the elephant who's like the super shy. It's just if you haven't seen Sing, you really should just go watch it. It's a really quick paced one, and
Mm-hmm.
it's got great music, and it's I mean
It
and
does.
it's not like a
It's taking the American Idol story and actually
and actually
making it
making
a little
it
bit more relatable.
right, and it's like and the premise is just I mean the koala as the main character, yeah, the mouse was Seth MacFarlane.
It
Um,
it's like a
it's just
mixture
oh
between
my
the
god, it's
producer
hilarious.
story. Yeah, it's like a mixture between the producer story because the theater's about to go under,
Right. Yeah.
and then
Well,
bringing
and
in the
then
whole American Idol.
his friend the zebra.
Oh
Oh my
god.
god, he was like a stoner.
Mm-hmm. There's
Uh,
so many
but
good
yes,
ones.
Sing
My
is another one that I
also.
wanted to mention because it's got some good ones that can
Oh
become
yeah.
earworms.
Moana is definitely one an earworm. One that
Yes.
everybody tends to hate is Frozen.
Mm-hmm.
Can't deny though that songs like Summer and what was the duet between Anna and what's his face, the jerk. Oh, I had it pulled up earlier.
So I know which one you're talking about
Uh
because
huh.
the one that I'm thinking of is
And Mr. Sandwiches. Love's
someone
an open door.
someone took it and kind of made it not as friendly.
Uh huh. Oh, I'm sure. There's a
Oh,
lot that you
I'm
could
gonna have
do
to.
with
I'll have to
that.
see if I can find it. I'll send it over to you. It's absolutely like, and it's not like it's inappropriate, but it's not like bad. Like they never say
Oh
anything
yeah.
bad, but it's just basically, hey, let's just call a spade, and let's talk about what you're actually singing about.
Right. Right. Some of the other ones, like
Do you want to build a
you could
snowman?
mention, yes, Lion King, Aladdin had a few good
Yep.
earworms.
Uh, friend like me.
Genie, oh my gosh, Miss Robin Williams, I miss that man. Oh goodness, who else? What else? I was never a fan of Little
Tailspin.
Mermaid. Was Tailspin Disney? It was
Yeah,
Disney.
because Donald. It was all It was all
Donald and Baloo and
yeah. It was all. Oh man, Tailspin had the theme song for Tailspin was like, you want to talk about a demented earworm as a kid. Jesus
what was
Christ,
the
that
other
thing.
version of that? That was the ducks, the three ducks. It wasn't Tailspin, but it had like
Oh,
Scrooge McDuck
it
and
was the Ducktales.
DuckTales.
Ew,
Ooh, yeah. Just those little hooks that stick with you for 30 freaking years and you're like, go away.
I mean, I guess
Oh
I
my
love
goodness.
Ducktales. Ducktales was
Dun, dun, dun,
hilarious. It
dun,
was
dun,
like,
dun,
oh my
dun,
god,
dun, dun.
the
Yeah,
the
so
uh, the
good.
portrayal of Scrooge was just
Hmm.
it was just
Diving into
amazing.
the piles of money. Oh my goodness. Just memory lane. You know what's fun about this is just getting to tell some of these different stories. Yeah, we talk about our top threes, but like all the extra things that we
Oh my gosh,
remember
they
on top of
rebooted
it.
Ducktales. I'm gonna have to go watch
Yeah,
this
they
now.
did. They did. I don't know how good it is.
Neither do I. It's hard.
I
It's
it
hard to me
scares
because
me when I
like
see a
yeah.
reboot.
Well, because like the other thing is like it's like Gargoyles, right? Like I was rewatching
Mm-hmm.
them and I'm like, yeah, I'm gonna stop. Just keep this in memory because
Right.
it's still pretty good, but it's like
It
there's
is.
also a point where it's like, the original Ninja Turtles,
Oh
it's one of those
God,
things
that
where it's
was
like you
terrible.
go back and you're like, yeah, this is a lot better in my memory. Like I'm just gonna leave
Right.
this
Power Rangers
in
were
the
like that.
oh god.
Power Rangers. Like I used to binge watch that movie with them skydiving
Turtle
and the
power.
skyboarding and oh my God, so many terrible, terrible movies that we were so in love with as children. I don't know.
Oh my gosh,
But
that's
so
too
top
funny.
we changed things up for top three for next week though, right?
Yes,
I don't get to decide.
and the poll is running this weekend, so
Hmm.
we can either play it by ear and then do because the poll will close on Tuesday, uh, yeah, on Tuesday morning. So we can either do that one or we can give you the option to choose one more and then do that
And
following.
then have it. Ooh. Ooh. Well, the thing is how many of those on my list did you use for the poll? Did you just use all of them?
No,
Because if you, okay, did you? Do you? Because I don't remember everything you put on there. So I'm like, I
I
don't know
don't.
which ones.
I know there were a few that I didn't use because I was looking at them like I don't know how I want to do that. Like, well, like
Yeah.
it wasn't because of anything like it was just like I don't know how to put that on the poll.
Right.
Um, I'd say
Uh,
like just take your pick, and if it if that one runs, if
gets
that one
picked.
wins, then we'll just do the next runner up.
Okay. Sounds good. Let's do top three. We're gonna stick with the childhood stuff and do top three cartoon characters, not anime, cartoon.
Yeah, I
Now,
didn't put
granted,
that
they're not
one.
much difference. Okay,
I'm
cool.
pretty sure I didn't put that one because I read that and I was like, yep, that's gonna trigger Beard.
Yeah, that's fine. I'm good with that. He's not here to defend himself.
Okay.
So, thank you for joining us for top three. If you want to see Beard triggered, please come to next week's top three, where we trigger him with top three cartoon characters. And remember, everybody loves a list. Punch. Please come and watch Beard get
And
triggered.
remember, and remember, everyone loves a list.
We can do Siri voice.
Oh my god.
Oh my goodness.
There was never a Captain Planet existential crisis episode.
Right? Oh,
You
Cap
know,
Planet.
I actually kind of wonder about that, like why there wasn't. Although
So,
I do love Robot Chicken's version of Captain Planet.
there's some really bad versions of Captain Planet. The one of my favorite cartoons was the Magic School Bus.
Yep, Matthew just started watching that. Of
Yay!
course,
Such a good
he
one.
also just started watching Power Rangers, and that's been traumatic for me. I'm like, oh god, please make it
Oh
stop.
man. Yeah. Oh, Power Rangers. how many years did I waste watching you?
Oh my god, there's so many.
And then I found Sailor Moon and never went back.
I mean, to be fair, thanks, Pins.
Yay!
Pins
Dedicated. I
just
love the bus.
Pins
Which
just
Power
messaged
Rangers?
me.
Oh, did we break them?
No, he's like, this is your reminder to change the background. I just got done
Thank
changing
you,
the background,
Pins.
and I looked over and I was like,
You
oh
were
hey, I got a
amazing.
message.
Thank you, Pens. Which Power Rangers is Matthew watching? Is he watching the original, or is he watching the I don't even remember all the different
the original
ones.
with Rita Rapunzel or whatever the her name was.
Rita, the scary.
The one that like in the remake, which was actually not bad, I will be honest. The one that came out a couple of years back. Or was it last year? Was it last year that they made that?
I don't remember.
Really brand new one. It was actually not. It was not bad. Rita, the cackling lady, Repulsor. Thank you, Repulsa. Whatever. She got stuck in a mason jar and couldn't get the lid open. I mean, really honestly, if you watch her introduction, it's literally like a jar that she
I
just
know.
that
It's
you
like
just
an
pushed.
urn type
It just
thing.
pushed the cork. I was like, come on. Oh my gosh, her entire story arc was like, she actually had one of the more interesting arcs.
Yeah.
Stuck
Chat,
in
who is your
sewer.
favorite Power Ranger? Since we're stuck on that right now. Stuck in the moon sewer. We need to study a Power Ranger lore. Oh god. Red Power Ranger? Okay. I was a blue fan, personally. I love the nerdy guys. Can't remember his name, though. Tommy was the green one.
Tommy was green. Zach was the black.
Black. Trina was yellow.
Trina was yellow.
Kimberly
was pink. Billy was blue.
Billy was the blue one. There we go.
Jason was red.
Gotcha. Yeah, Billy was my favorite.
Like, Anna's not down here. She's the one that I could just be like, what's the Power Ranger? Bop, 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 bop. And I was like, all right, well, that's where that mental energy went.
Give her a break. She's doing tax season.
Oh yeah, no, she's not. She is not happy right now.
I'm sure she's not.
The Axe Ranger was the Black Ranger, right? Didn't he have the Axe
Ranger? I think so, yeah.
Yeah, Black was the Mastodon. Because red was T-Rex, blue was the Triceratops.
Yes. Pink was
the pterodactyl.
No.
Yellow,
was that yellow?
No. Yellow was the one that never made any sense because she was the Sabretooth, and then black was the Mastodon. I was like, why is there a Sabretooth? Well, whatever. Okay. It always bugged me. And then green/white was Godzilla.
Yes.
Which, that was like, at that point, it was just like, all right, fuck it, we're done. Like, we're not doing dinosaurs. We're just doing big, powerful things.
Anymore.
We're not making any.
The funny thing is Super Senpai. There's like a huge amount of like series for it. It's got as many as like Dragon Ball Z.
Oh yes, the original, yeah. Mm-hmm. It's ridiculous. That's like what is it?
Ultron.
No, not Ultron. Not Ultron. Ultraman. Whatever
Ultraman?
Yeah. It just hit. Actually, that they just remade it for Netflix.
Oh really?
And I haven't gotten around to watching it because I'm watching Into the Badlands right now. But it's on my next to watch because it's one of those. It's one of the big precursors to the Gundam series, like the concept of the Gundam stuff, like the big mech type stuff. It's actually it's a callback within Ready Player One, the book. One of the main one of the power characters that the siblings from Japan. I just blanked on Hiro and one of the guys who gets killed or like near the end because they throw him out the building.
I don't remember.
Well, anyways, like one of the challenges that they win, he gets him as a power item. It's like a little action figure, and
Oh, right.
he actually uses him
I
at one
remember
of the
that from the
final
book.
fights. Yeah, he uses him in the final fight to take on the Sixer. Yeah, Robotech's on Netflix too, and I need to watch that too. There's actually Netflix. Netflix has a pretty good selection of decent anime. I'm not gonna lie, and I just found out that Hulu, if you are among the more mature people watching this, found out Hulu has the original Witchblade anime.
Oh, really?
So
Huh.
I
Did you know
might.
Spotify just gives you a free Hulu account now?
Oh, does it? That's nice.
Uh-huh.
Yeah. So
Mm,
if you like, I mean, Witchblade is a
interesting.
yeah. I guess that would be the word I was looking for. It's mature. Like let's just go with
It's
that. It's
very.
like it's very mature, and it's not just mature like adult theme mature. Like it's actually got like a really dark story
Well,
that's
like
going on
the
with it.
way she gets the Witchblade
Right.
initially, like if
I
you know the
got yeah.
comics, it's freaking
Yeah.
scary as
Well,
hell.
and then they just started a sequel manga to Witchblade, so it's like explaining even more about like the entire concept of Witchblade is really cool. Yeah, Evangelion's on Netflix. Yeah, it's pretty like there's some really good anime out there, and they're remaking a lot of it too. Um, what was it that I was just watching? Escape from Paradise. That's another one. Don't watch that with small people around because it's not a small person anime, but it's really actually pretty good. It reminds me a lot of Trigun, and that's on Netflix.
Okay.
It's a movie. It's not a series. So if you have like an
Okay.
hour, I think it's an hour and 45 minutes, 2 hours. And it's actually got a really fun. It's a really fun debate on the status of personhood for AI. Like what makes AI yes, Fate Stay Night is amazing. I need to catch up because I have not watched whatever the most recent one is. I've watched the original and I've watched most of the second. I have not watched the most recent one that just came out, so I need to go back and catch up on that cuz my understanding is that it has gotten rather insane. Like which I mean Fate Stay Night was already kind of apocalyptic to begin with, but like my understanding is that it's the story implications have gotten much more significant. Yes, live action Speed Racer. If you haven't seen that, definitely recommend. It's
Oh, weird.
totally
That
got
one.
it's totally just as cheesy as the cartoon. It's glorious. I loved it.
God.
Loved it.
No.
God,
Speed
yeah. It was,
Racer, like
anyways.
live.
Yeah, the live
Is it
action
like
that was it was God, man, that was
is it as cheesy
2014.
as original Batman?
No, it was like I mean it was like 2014 ish. I want to say, but yeah, it has John Goodman as Pops, and then like it go like I thought it was really good, but I mean you have to understand like I know a lot of people were like this is really dumb. I'm like yeah, but you obviously have 2008. Okay, thanks Black Flag. Um, if you don't understand where it's coming from, it will be annoying to watch because you have
Mm-hmm.
to understand that Speed Racer as a cartoon was also super
It's
cheesy.
like Mighty Mouse.
Yeah, it was meant to be. It was meant to be that kind of tongue in cheek kind of
Right.
cheesiness. And they did an amazing job capturing that in the live action. Like they really did actually. And the CG is not too shabby in my opinion. It was pretty good. Yeah. But yeah, John Goodman
Nice,
as
nice.
Pops is well, he did an amazing job on that one.
God.
But yeah, so yeah, there's a good number of anime that Netflix especially has been just cranking out.
Oh, Netflix. I need to go to for. I'm out in Tangled Shore collecting lore, since most loyal is now starting to drop more.
Which one is double O?
Double O? 007?
Exia. No, it's Iron Blooded War. I was trying to think. There was an anime that I just recently finished. that was really good. It wasn't Escape from Paradise. Escape from Paradise was hilarious in its own right, but there's a series that I just finished. I'm trying. It's driving me up a wall because I can't remember it. But okay, all right. God, man, it was. I'm gonna Google this because this is driving me up a wall.
How many have you gotten? You ran for 4 and 5 hours and only got one. I got 2
Knights of
the
Sidonia.
other day.
Knights of Sidonia. It's a space opera.
Nice.
It's
ran
very good. I will be right back real quick.
Okay. I ran mostly public events. I didn't get anything from I got one from doing a daily heroic, and I got one from a public event I did the other day, and then I got another day. So I've had 3, which is significantly more than I had before. I'm not sure if the drop rates are currently in effect for it because the update 2.2 or 2.1.1 doesn't go in effect until next Tuesday. And I'm pretty sure that that was one of the things on there, but I feel like they've gotten more in there. I don't know. I mean, it's Flashpoint, so people are going to be running public events, so it's going to be super easy to join and get things quickly. Let's see here. Yeah, heroic events or heroic adventures are definitely the ones to do to get the lore. I actually really dislike doing those missions. They're not my favorites. I get real burned out on them, especially Trickster. It's like, I really don't care about you, lady, but sure, I'll go and punch you. But the thing is when you have people who are just grinding lore, a lot of them tend to just go through and not worry about um, going heroic on the missions, so you can burn through public events pretty quickly. That is, if they spawn. If they spawn, Swork's cut. How have your light level drops been? Ah, yes. Light level drops. The fun thing to grind for. The other thing I need to do is I need to run more Reckoning because I need one more piece of the Reaper armor. I think the chest piece is what I need that I'm missing. Let me look. I'm going into my armor sets. I know I need the boots, and then I will get the helmet upgrade next week because I have the outlawed helmet, but I don't have the victorious helmet.
Pew pew.
Aw,
Choo,
thanks,
choo.
Dolan, for the sub. Appreciate that, hun. Let's see here. Burn through them quickly. Yeah, super true. Yeah, Mystic, that's exactly why. At least that's my suspicion, is people are just trying to get the lore drop to happen. Since now that there's a chance that it'll actually start dropping. That sucks, Pins. Hopefully that isn't the case constantly. I know they're kind of a pain in the butt to run, but I don't know. I do so much like random don't need a team type grinding stuff when I'm on here because I don't have to think when I'm doing public events while I'm doing the show. I can actually sometimes, depending on where I'm at in the public events, not look at my gaming screen so much and just continually work and run away from things, especially if it's Flashpoint.
What is that?
Oh, doing public events like while doing the show.
Oh yeah, I pretty much, when I do that, I pretty much find that it annoys me because no one seems to understand how to make a public event heroic.
Well, right now, and this is something I was trying to talking about with Mystic. She was asking why people aren't making it heroic anymore. At least on Tangled Shore, I suspect that people are just trying to burn through them so they can go to as many public events as possible to try to get the lore drops.
Oh. Well, that explains why. Okay, that does explain that.
I don't know if that is actually the case, but I suspect that is the case. And now
Well,
that you
it's
are back,
still annoying.
I know, I agree. There are certain public events like the stupid blight on IO and the blight and the EDZ that no one
blight in any place because
Oh.
apparently no one understands the blight
Oh my god.
process.
Drives me fucking crazy. Because
It's not
apparently
hard.
shooting the big one.
It's not hard.
It's not hard, but it's not obvious either. Like, are obvious. Like, you see two
that's true.
purple glowing crystals pop up. You should probably shoot them. That's obvious to me. But there's no visual trigger to say that you need to shoot the big one. When everything else in game is you're shooting the little ones.
I mean, to be fair, I have also run into people who can't figure out how to do the heroic public event with the walkers. So, you know.
Oh my god. Ugh. Yeah. Okay. I'll be right back. I need to grab some coffee.
Mm-hmm. I'm trying to remember what the one that I was... There was one that I was running the other day that I was actually like, I'm like, okay, I actually don't remember this one. I'm trying to remember which one it was. Oh, it was a blind well thing, that's why. Yeah, that's what I started ramping up on heavy whenever I see a blight event coming in, because I figure that I'm going to be the only one who's shooting the main one. The thing is like with most of the public events, and I'm assuming Green might have talked about this while I was away. But the thing is for me, it's like the heroic events don't take significantly longer, and you get better gear from it. It's just my 2 cents. Ugh. Oh, I meant to ask you guys, for the mechanics for the Thorn entries, and I probably will ask when Green comes back too, to get the entries for Thorn. Hey, thanks, Mystic.
Pew pew.
Is it based off the... Yeah, Pens, I'm right. That's why I'm not getting Chronicler. But is it based off the number of kills, or is it based off the number of little glowy lights that you collect? Cannot figure out for me for the logic behind that one.
Right. It always helps.
So it is kills. Is it like every like 500 or something, or is there a set number that it's based off of?
Okay, back. Buddy has his medicine.
Yay! Tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap it, tap tap.
Yes. Did you hear him come in?
A little bit, yeah. You don't need to be here.
I told him you can't be in here right now. Which technically he's not supposed to be in my office anyway. Oh, he's terrified because Julie is. We are painting them, but we're redoing the color on our doorknobs and stuff, so she has to use steel wool to take off the stupid brash finish.
Yeah.
And then she's gonna paint them, like prime them and paint them. Well, Buddy is terrified apparently of the table because it moved and has been hiding under our bed for the last hour and a half. Mr. Ferocious here, who chases pit bulls around and other large dogs.
But it's an inanimate object.
Oh my god, such a dumb dog sometimes. But now he is almost done with his medicine, and I'm so glad because he's gotten so much cheese in the last week. It's ridiculous. 1,000 kills to go the whole book. Are you talking about Thorn?
Yeah, I was asking him
Hmm.
because I was like, I think it's linked to kills, but I couldn't figure out if it's linked to kills or if it was linked to the little glowy things.
I have not unlocked many of those, I don't think. Yeah, Dwyer, you for Buddy in particular, he has to take some antibiotics because of his teeth.
Cheese is the easiest way.
Yes, you take shredded cheese and you put the medicine inside of the cheese and squish it until it becomes a solid object, and then they will not notice that there's medicine in it and will devour it easily. Of course, I have 2 dogs, so the second dog sits there and begs for cheese. So what I do is I take shredded cheese and throw it on the floor to distract him because he scarfs things down, while I give the other one, who eats like a dainty little girl.
We have to do the same thing, but
mm-hmm.
All right, let's get this done with. This should be a quick one.
Yeah,
not a block of
I
parm.
think so.
This should be a quick one. I have a pretty quick rundown of this, but we'll get into that. So, you good to go?
I am indeed.
All right. Welcome back for episode 37 of Extra Lore, recorded live on April 5th, 2019 over on twitch.tv/FocusFireChat. As always, I want to give a big shout out to our live chat here with us tonight. Thank you so much for joining us once again. Our topic for tonight's episode is going to be a look at the series of Devil May Cry. But first, let's run through a quick introduction of those on the show for tonight. As always, this is your host, Blue Crew 86. Next up, we have our own master of social media, the one and only Green Eyed Music Lover. Green, I hope you're doing well. How's the week treated you so far?
Good. I'm moving about 50 tons of rock, apparently, because the prior owner decided that landscaping was for sissies. So I am currently, my current house project, besides tearing out carpet and finishing the floors and painting and everything else that a homeowner does, is going outside and shoveling rocks in the morning. I've decided that
dig
I
a
need
hole,
to do it a different way.
Dig a hole, fill it up, dig it again.
No, goddamn. Already a bleep, and we're not even 5 minutes into the show. Gosh. No, this one, the guy, okay, so it's sloped outside. There is a hill. The gentleman who owned this place before us apparently doesn't know how gravity and round objects work.
So you bought a house from a flat earther.
Oh my gosh, I guess. I don't know. He just, it all rolls downhill, and it's pressing up against our gates and our fence, and it is bowing the wooden fence out, which is destroying it.
Yeah.
And so I have to move all of it. And I've decided that playing comp in Destiny and then going shoveling for about 20 minutes at a time really works well to help like mitigate the anger of getting queued in myself versus 4 people, because that has happened a few times while grinding comp this last week. But beyond that, I'm doing great. Like, I'm getting my muscle tone back and everything else is going great.
Life hacks by Green. How to play comp without breaking your console.
Oh my gosh, yes.
Chat, putting all that salt to work.
Exactly. Exactly. That's how you do it. Oh my goodness.
Oh man. Well, Beard actually had to take the night off because I believe, if I remember correctly, he had a pretty bad migraine, I think is what happened, or sinus infection.
Sinus infection.
Which is just, that's never fun. So I was going to give him grief, but then I read that it was a sinus infection. I'm like, I'll be nice to him. I've been giving him grief all week on Twitter.
I mean, considering that you are Thor and he's the Hulk now.
That's what I was going to give him grief.
Oh my gosh. That cracked me up this morning. Thank you, Wicked, for setting that up for everybody to...
still going.
Realize.
Like,
Oh my
the
gosh.
GIF conversation's still going.
I'm part of it.
I love that Z was like, Z got involved, and you're like, oh, you're War Machine. What?
I think Wicked assigned her War Machine.
Yeah,
I'm just like, I'm okay. I'm Tony Stark. I don't mind.
Tony Stark.
I'll be fine with that.
Oh man. Well, and obviously, as with most of our extra lore, we didn't have really a community question, so we're gonna probably just really just jump right into it. So this series is actually a pretty fun one. I have found, so I'm really kind of excited about diving into the discussion. So let's run through our standard intro notes, and then we'll get right into it. All right, so this week our chat. God, I just repeated myself. That's the type of night it's been.
Tired.
Yeah, this month's extra lore topic, as we said at the top of the show, was Devil May Cry, and really, I'll just kind of jump right in. The main focus of the series is going. You'll notice this quite early on. But the main focus is Dante's goal of avenging his mother's murder. And this is done predominantly through the extermination of demons. So he's kind of like he becomes a demon hunter, basically, in order to his ultimate end goal is to find the character who is responsible, or who he believes is responsible, for the death of his mother. And we'll get into that just a little bit down the road. Yes, the series is loosely based on the Divine Comedy. The basis of that is that it's mostly through the use of illusions and referencing various names of characters. The storyline obviously is not going to follow the Divine Comedy, but the kind of the relationships between the characters who are named from that work of literature are similar. Like it's not going to necessarily be friendly, they're not going to have the same level of relationship, but as far as like intimacy, they're going to be very similar. For the prime example being Dante and Virgil. Inside the Divine Comedy, they are very closely aligned. Virgil is Dante's guide through the underworld. In Devil May Cry, Dante and Virgil are twin brothers. Dante is the protagonist, and I would really strongly argue that Virgil is one of, if not the main antagonist throughout the series. And again,
somewhat, he's always there.
Well, Devil May Cry 5,
not...
Devil May Cry 5, yeah. 5, Devil May Cry 5, and 3. Those 3, I know Virgil is huge in. Mundus, and we'll get into the other antagonists. But Mundus is more aligned with Sparta, whereas their nemesis. And like I said, we'll get into that one, because with Sparta, there's interesting things with this, as you might imagine from a Capcom series. So, anyways, It actually, the series as a whole has enjoyed a success with pretty much all the main entries. Every single main entry to this series has recorded millions of sales every time it comes out. And arguably one of the reasons is that the major focus of the gameplay within the overall series is the action aspect. The story doesn't necessarily take like a back seat. At least through the majority of the major installments. There is a few installments that we'll mention, we're not going to talk about, just because they're not canonical in the overall story. But the major titles have all been really, really successful. And this is also because within this series you have this really unique blend of puzzle solving and exploration elements, which is kind of a nod to the survival horror origins of the series as a whole. But it's not as prevalent as the very highly stylized combat. This series is very the style of combat.
Brawler, isn't it?
Yeah, it's an action hack and slash. It's definitely a hack and slash. But like if you've ever watched if you ever watch Devil May Cry, its style of combat is very unique to the series. There have now been series that have kind of taken that concept off, but you have like the series. This is the one that like you'll chain hits, and it's like I can't remember the order of events, but it's like, you know, they have ranks, and there's an announcer who actually is like sitting there going like spectacular, like, and it's like, and it's really kind of fun. It's fun. It's like
There's
just play it.
comical aspects to it.
Oh yeah, and they constantly are poking fun of it, fun at each other. But like the thing is like it's just fun to play. Like it's really just, even if you're not paying attention to the storyline, the actual combat, you just get stuck in that like loop. It's a very hack and slash. You know, it's one of the models that just really works. But as many of the series and titles that we have looked at within Extra Lore, the Devil May Cry does also, I mentioned, it does also contain a number of other media. You have anywhere from light novels, you have comics and manga, films, anime, and actually, Green, I think you'll find this one interesting, a collaborative stage play that was built off the name. I can't remember on the stage play if it's technically within the canon, or if it's just like a nod to the series. But there was actually I think 1 or 2 showings of it. It was pretty big. Though for tonight's topic, we're going to stick mostly on the canonical main titles. And I was going to make a comment because I know Beard was going to roll his eyes at it, but we are not going to talk about the Devil May Cry DMC title. Mostly not because of opinions of it, though there are many who have strong opinions about the DMC title, but actually because Devil May Cry DMC has been identified as taking place in an alternate story or alternate universe. So it's one of those splinter stories that it's still valid, but it's not canonically accepted as being part of the overall story. So the first thing that you're going to notice when you look at Devil May Cry or DMC is the chronological order of titles, and this is pretty common with a lot of series that you see, but the chronological order of titles does not match the release dates. So it's not in order of release, it's actually in a bit of a different order. So the chronological order, and I'm going to go through it in chronological order, this is why I'm kind of explaining this. Chronological order is Devil May Cry 3, which was released in 2005, and then the sequel to that is Devil May Cry, which was the first title, that was released in 2001. After that, the animated series explains the transition into Devil May Cry 2, and then Devil May Cry 4, and then Devil May Cry 5 is the one that just came out recently. And actually, I'm going to probably be talking quite a bit about that one because that one has a lot of ramification as far as the future of the series, it seems. And not just because it's the most recent, but also because of what happens with Dante and Virgil in that series, or in that the installment. So just real quick, real fast run through of the overall story between those titles. In Devil May Cry 3, we're actually introduced, arguably, again, chronologically, we've already been, or time-wise, we've already been introduced, but chronologically, this is the introduction to Dante and Virgil. The competition between these two brothers is very predominant in this title. They are very much antagonistic towards each other, but they kind of have always, and they're also super powerful figures. So they are in their own way, they are kind of demigodish, as it were. So their conflict with each other, often to normal humanity or the normal people in the world, would seem very violent, but to them it's just basically arguments. They are trying to kill each other, but they are like, it's a weird relationship that they have. But into this little oil and water mixture is a figure who goes by the name of Arkham. And Arkham basically shows up and is trying to he presents a situation in which they are trying to prevent the character of Mundus, which we'll kind of explain as we go on, from coming back into the human world. A big thing that's going on in the Devil May Cry series is there's two worlds. There's the demon world and the human world. The predominant amount of work, or the predominant amount of the story, does tend to take place in the human world, but it's also often around the bashing together of the demon world trying to force itself onto the human world. So there is that type of, it's a very very common trope in fantasy to have like a spirit world and a physical world, if you will. The demon world has been locked out of the human world through the use of these devices called Hellgates. And one of the major Hellgates is Tema Nigru, which is it's the predominant Hellgate that takes place throughout the series. The reason that this Hellgate is really important is that this was the last Hellgate that was sealed by the character known as Sparta. We never actually see Sparta much. We see the sword of Sparta, known as I just blanked on it. The Force Edge.
Oh, the Force Edge one.
Yeah. But Sparta, real quick, just kind of a recap on Sparta. Sparta is known, he's presented as the Black Knight. He is introduced in the series right as he defeats the ruler of the demon world, Mundus. So this is where I was talking about. Sparta and Mundus are kind of the big nemesis against each other. As part of that, he stops Mundus from conquering the human world by sealing all the Hellgates around the world. And the last of these gates was Tema Nigru. When he sealed this, it was a pretty big ritual, but Sparta was given a choice, and he chose to remain in the human world, where he established a religious sect known as the Order of the Sword. This order was pretty much established to make sure that the Hellgates stayed closed. Eventually, as the years went on, he actually would start a family with a human woman named Eva, and had twin sons, Dante and Virgil. And as part of that, in addition to his part of his power that he granted to his children, he also gave them a locket that he split in half.
Yes.
And this is very important. It is a constant source of conflict between the two brothers. But the other thing that happened was, this gift was really one of the only things that Sparta really gave them, and it was followed very quickly by the murder of their mother at the hands of Mundus. Mundus killed Eva in order to kind of enact some of his revenge on Sparta, to punish Sparta. However, the death of Eva spurred her sons into action. You kind of find out a little bit more about this in Devil May Cry 5, because this is also where the big schism, or one of the big schisms between Dante and Virgil is created. Dante takes the death of his mother as, a catalyst into jumping into the world of hunting and exterminating demons. Virgil takes it and looks at it as a catalyst that he needs to gain more power to punish those who were responsible. Same goal, completely different means to achieving that goal, and that is also one of the big issues between Dante and Virgil. Virgil does not really pay much mind to the collateral damage that he causes. And Dante is by no means a hero, but Dante does kind of have a bit more concern about the world around him, insofar as, he's not, I hesitate to call Dante a good person. He's like Deadpool. He's an Punisher. Like, he's an anti-hero who has heroic qualities. But so that's kind of the split between Dante and Virgil in a really brief nutshell. So in Devil May Cry 3, the figure of Arkham kind of enters in, and there's a character also who gets introducced in the. This is just, I realize this is kind of jumping all over the place. This is what the series kind of feels like. So you have Dante, Virgil, and a character named Lady. Lady was introduced to us in the animated series, but this chronological order is the beginning of where she and their relationship comes from. So these three are not really friendly with each other. Lady and Dante are. Dante and Virgil and Lady don't really see eye to eye, if we will. Arkham comes in and tricks the brothers and Lady into basically completing a ritual that opens the Hellgate, Tim and Negru. And this allows Arkham to basically acquire the Force Edge, which was the Sword of Sparta. In the process of acquiring this, he also basically starts to destroy the world, the human world, and he's basically amassing power to take over. The brothers Dante and Virgil team up and basically chase Arkham into the demon world and attack him and defeat him. They do manage to defeat him with their powers basically combined. With their powers combined, they are. I don't know where I was going with that one, but as soon as Arkham is defeated, Virgil turns on Dante. And again, it's not a huge surprise, but he does attack Dante, and they butt heads once again. Dante actually manages to get the edge because he literally gets the Force Edge, and he gets an infusion of power. He manages to defeat Virgil, and Virgil remains in the demon world while Dante returns to the human world. The Hellgate closes, and that's kind of the end of DMC 3. So Virgil is now in the demon world. Dante is in the human world. Time goes on, and we are then brought into the original Devil May Cry, and this is the introduction of really in the series. This is the more overt introduction of Mundus. In Devil May Cry, the figure of Trish appears. Trish is a very popular character. Most people will recognize her. She is a demonic figure as well, kind of like a succubus type figure. But Trish appears and challenges Dante, and the player doesn't know at the time, but it's because of her allegiance and her being enthralled to Mundus that she challenges him. But she challenges Dante because Dante has been growing in power because he has the Force Edge. He is unlocking more of his demon side, if you will. And he is becoming more and more powerful. And arguably, Dante has now surpassed Sparta in power. And so Trish appears and challenges him. And through this challenge to Dante, Virgil reappears, and Virgil is now you see Virgil now, who is now also enthralled to Mundus. So Mundus is active in the demon world. He is taking a more front seat to things, and is going to try, and he's again trying to push into the human world and take over.
Isn't Arkham an agent of Mundus?
Arguably, yes, but as soon as Arkham gets the Force Edge, he kind of goes power hungry, and it's a common thing in Devil May Cry. It's like they send a minor character to get the powerful item, and then the minor character picks up the powerful item. And a lot of these items in Devil May Cry have sentience, so like the Force Edge won't let Virgil handle it. Like, it refuses to allow Virgil to handle it. Dante can handle it.
Well, okay, so is that mainly because Virgil has embraced more of his demonic side versus
it's because
Dante, or is there a reason for it?
That might be part of it. I would argue that's probably not, because the Force Edge. So there's also a big play on these weapons of power. You have swords. Yamato is Virgil's sword. It's a very thin, the traditional samurai sword. The Force Edge is very chunky, I guess is the best way to say it. It's not a small weapon. It is a massive. Yeah, it is it's like almost like the Buster Sword esque type thing, but it looks more hive-ish, if that makes sense. It looks like a demonic version of the Buster Sword. Virgil literally can't pick it up. Like, he's not strong enough physically to pick it up in most cases. Dante can pick it up. Dante is strong enough physically to pick it up, and then also he has the strength of will to basically subdue it. And Virgil, you never really get to sense. In Devil May Cry 5, this kind of gets a little bit more into Devil May Cry 5 because there's a couple comments that are made about the Force Edge. But Virgil he can't pick it up. and he can't subdue it. Where with Yamato, he is definitely more aligned with it. You also have I think the other sword that Nero has is the Red Queen. There's a couple other swords that are rotating around in the Devil May Cry universe, and all of them definitely seem to have a degree of sentience and a degree of individual selfness that they kind of pick and choose their own wielder as well. So it's like the stereotypical weapon of power. It's a relationship with your weapon, not just a piece of metal that you pick up and you can use. But Arkham, so like when Arkham picks up the Force Edge, it actually changes him. He actually mutates into like this monstrous figure, who's like really the anime-esque gibbering monster type thing.
Mm-hmm.
He's got like there's a big thing with the demons in Devil May Cry. There's a lot of eyes on them, which is a very common trope. That I wish Beard was here because he could probably explain it a lot better as to why that is. But like when Dante and Virgil go into what's referred to as devil mode, they get a lot of eyes. Arkham is like I said, he's like a gibbering monster type thing, but he's got a lot of eyes. The Force Edge itself has a massive eye on it. There's a lot of symbolism there that is really, really quite not. It's a nod towards the culture that it's being written from, and sadly, I'm not as familiar with that particular piece. I know there's a lot of crossover between other Capcom series and Devil May Cry, especially with Bayonetta and Devil May Cry. There's arguably, they might even take place in the same world. I know that they have talked about doing a crossover game between the two, but I don't know if that's because Capcom also does a lot of fighting games and they don't have a big problem meshing characters together that are from completely different universes.
Right.
So I'm not sure if Bayonetta is technically in the same universe. I want to say I think it is, but I don't want to get quoted on that. But yeah, so Arkham is, I believe, I don't know if he was a thrall though of Mundus. I didn't see anything about that one or about him being a thrall necessarily. I do know that he was related to, or he was presented as being related to Lady as her father, but I think he was a human. So like most of the thralls to other demons, they tend to be demons themselves. Arkham was one of those that he wanted to become a demon. He didn't want to, which is where he was trying to get the Force Edge, because he was trying to basically evolve, I guess, if that makes sense. Let me pull up this wiki real quick and I'll read you the summary that they have on here. They say Arkham was a scholar and a father of Lady who allied himself with Virgil in reviving Timon Nigru and worked to become a demon. After a failed ritual involving sacrificing his wife, Kali Ann, he then gained an alter ego known as the Jester. He then became interested in inheriting the power of... interested in inheriting the power of Sparta, seeking out the Sword of Sparta to usher a new age of chaos. He was killed by the combined efforts of Dante and Virgil and his own daughter. He is recognized as the secondary antagonist of Devil May Cry 3.
So Mary is also super important because Mary is the descendant of the initial priestess that helped close the gate way back in the beginning. Like the ritual that helped Sparta close the gate.
Yeah.
So the ritual included a priestess, Sparta himself, and was it the amulet itself? Or
yeah,
I'm trying to remember. There's three parts of it.
It required blood from Sparta, the amulet, which is where the amulet kind of gets passed down because it's basically a safeguard, and then the priestess that I just blanked on. I think, yeah, it was Mary, right? I think
Yeah.
that's what you
Well,
just
the
said.
Mary is the descendant of it.
Oh, yeah. Let me pull up Sparta real
Which
quick.
she's not really talked about as Mary in the game. Her name in the game is Lady most of the time.
Well, Lady is the daughter of Mary.
Right. But isn't Lady the one that you were talking about with Virgil and Dante? As
Yes,
far as,
yeah. Arkham is her father.
yeah.
And then, sorry, real quick.
You're good.
I want to make sure that I say this correctly, because this is where it kind of gets a little wonky, because this isn't necessarily overtly in game. This is between like collectibles with the whole thing with Sparta. Because see, yeah, Sparta was a follower of Mundus prior to his rebellion, and he rebelled because he did not agree with how Mundus was basically, he didn't agree with what Mundus was planning to do with the human world.
It's like a reverse of the Michael story, or not the Michael story,
The
but the
Lucifer
Lucifer
story.
story.
Yeah, it's, I mean, in a way, yeah. If you want to look at it that way, it would be like one of the archdemons betraying Lucifer because he sympathizes with humanity instead. Like, is really kind of where that idea comes from. He he sealed. Here we go. So he sealed the Sparta used his own blah blah blah. He defeated the hellish host before moving on to the Emperor of Darkness himself. Sparta defeated Mundus, sealed him into a marble vault, and what was left of Mundus's armies retreated back into the demon world. In order to close the gateway, Sparta used his own blood along with the blood of a human priestess in conjuncture with his sword and a mystical amulet. So that's what I believe you were talking about there. Mm-hmm. He poured his demonic energy into his beloved sword to close the door between the realms, the Team Negru. Although this also robbed him of the lion's share of his abilities. As an added measure, he also imprisoned within the tower its gatekeepers, Cerberus, Agni, and Runda, Nevin, Beowulf, and Leviathan, and took the names of the seven sins in order to imprison them and set them as seals, keeping the Temenugru underground. Later, he sealed a path into hell in Fortuna using the Yamato, which is the sword of Virgil later. And Sparta's activities over the next 2,000 years are shrouded in legend, though it is understood that for a time after defeating Mundus, he benevolently ruled over the humans before eventually vanishing. You get an implication that he did encounter, or Burial, which was a demon that you meet later, implies that he'd encountered Sparta when he came into the human world 2 millennia prior. It is believed later in the 20th century, which is where he met and fell in love with Eva, who bore him 2 sons, and then later Sparta, he eventually died under some unknown circumstances after disappearing yet again. Basically, the thing with Sparta is that we really don't know, even in game, the extent of his powers. It is believed that, obviously through the presentation of his defeat, that his powers did surpass that of Mundus. However, he didn't kill Mundus. Now, we don't know if that was because he refused to kill him or if he couldn't kill him. And so there's that particular thing. It is also noted that each of Sparta's legendary accomplishments in life were eventually surpassed by Dante, who was his youngest son. Basically, Dante demolishes the Temenugru, kills Argosax the Chaos, and destroyed the true Hellgate of Fortuna. So he didn't just shut the gates, he destroyed all of them. Which is where we get the comment about Dante having surpassed Sparta in Devil May Cry when he's chasing Trish as part of the challenge. Now, also as part of that challenge, like I was mentioning, that's where Virgil kind of reappears as a thrall to Mundus, and Dante and Virgil hit, like they basically they're conflicting again, and it appears that Dante kills Virgil in the conclusion of the Devil May Cry game. You defeat Virgil and you manage to banish Mundus back into the demon world, and also in the process of banishing Mundus, he manages to save Trish. Trish is freed from.
Yeah, I mean
Trish
and she was a double agent-ish for a little while.
Yeah, who became arguably a triple agent because of.
Yeah, she had a change of heart.
Well, and it was. I mean, I guess that's true. Trish was an equal part of the saving of herself, because of what was going on in the fight with Dante. If I remember correctly, Dante was not doing well. Let's say that, and Trish kind of Trish basically sacrificed herself ultimately. And in doing so, she was able to open up the possibility of being freed, and then it gets like as you get into as I was going to say, as you get into like the nitty grittiness of the games, it starts getting really, really weirdly complicated. Oh, and actually, I did want to make a comment in the conclusion of Devil May Cry 3. That's where we actually get the explanation of the title series, or the series title, Devil May Cry, because it's upon Dante's return to the human world after his defeat of Virgil and basically banishing his brother into the demon world that Lady makes the comment about the Devil May Cry, or even the Devil May Cry, because of the emotional chargedness of the situation. And basically Dante, as a nod to that, then opens a business that is based around the extermination of demons, and he calls
demon hunting business.
Yeah, it's hey, supernatural. Anyone? He and the name of the business is Devil May Cry, and it's also they locate it right at the site of Tima Negru, if I remember correctly, because it's in one of the hot spots.
Tima Negru is the location of Dante and Virgil's fight, right? At the top of the tower, essentially.
Yeah, it's basically one of the major hell gates that exists between the demon world and the human world. So basically it's like that location seems to be, every time there's something going on, something gets broken in that vicinity, and so Dante just was like, all right, well, we'll just set up camp here, basically, because it seems like that's where the major entry point into the world kind of is for the more powerful figures.
Okay.
Let me see. Oh, yes. The other thing with Dante is you'll notice that Dante has a very, very strong fondness for pizza.
Oh, God.
Him and Nero both. Yeah, him and Nero are pretty much obsessed with pizza. And Dante also likes strawberry sundaes.
It's
and the reason that comes from the animated series, because in the animated series, it's pointed out that those two food groups are pretty much all he eats. Oh, and alcohol, of course.
Yes, he is a heavy drinker.
He is a very heavy drinker, which all of the main characters in Devil May Cry, to be fair, are pretty heavy drinker.
Mm-hmm. Have we gotten to who Nero is yet?
No, because Nero does not get introduced until Devil May Cry 4. So Nero is going to be. I'm very excited to talk about Nero because he's got a very interesting conclusion, especially in Devil May Cry 5. Mm-hmm. So Devil May Cry ends with the banishing of Mundus back into the demon world, the freeing of Trish, and the supposed killing of Virgil, which I'll come back to in a second. Animated series. The predominant thing that I was able to kind of gather from the animated series is that this is when we got introduced to Lady. Again, chronologically, this isn't where we get introduced to Lady, but this is also where you see the introduction of Lady into the series. So there's events that happen that transition Devil May Cry to Devil May Cry 2. In order for those events to happen, they also introduce the figure of Lady, who then is called back in Devil May Cry 3. If that makes absolutely no sense, I completely understand. So again, chronological order is not the same as the release order of these. There is that little nuance going on there. But that does bring us to Devil May Cry 2. Devil May Cry 2 introduces the character of Lucia, who contacts Dante and invites her to meet, basically invites him to come meet her mother, an invitation that translates into basically Dante learning of the summoning of a demon lord, and Dante, once he learns of this thing, basically can't turn the challenge down. And so what happens is when he goes into pursuit and prevent Dante, or to prevent the demon lord from coming, it leads to Dante jumping into the demon world, and for the most part within Devil May Cry 2, becoming trapped within it. This is important because in Devil May Cry 2, this is also where you start seeing Dante really kind of more taking and diving into his demonic power. He's much more likely to that. Devil May Cry 2 is also noticeable as being one of the very few times that you see Dante not being tongue in cheek. He gets very serious in Devil May Cry 2. Like his demeanor still is the laid back demeanor that is very, very strong for his character. But in Devil May Cry 2, he's much more serious. You also see this as the point where it starts shining through that he's very much like Sparta in his sense of what is right and wrong, especially with regards to justice. He looks down, and actually he himself will refuse to, but he looks down on those who don't fight fair. Dante will often refuse to fight humans or anybody who are weaker than him. And even though he does originally kind of he's really not comfortable with his demonic side because of that sense of justice and the fair fight. He sees a lot of what goes on with the demonic side of him as being something that is unfair. But even though he himself is uncomfortable with even though he is uncomfortable with his own demonic side, you see throughout the entire series that Dante really does not have any problem accepting demons who choose to become good. And he actually, in some cases, actually admires that desire to become human. You see this especially with Trish. He admires that quality in her, that she wants to be more human. He is known to say that humans are often worse than demons, and at
least with the demon, you know where you stand.
Right. And in the animated series, that's also where you kind of get this introduction to, he will refuse to kill humans. Knowing he does not believe it, or he won't do it because of the belief that will make him no better than the people that he hunts. That's there. And then that also kind of ties into why he kind of pulls punches when it comes to Virgil. He constantly is, it's very Thor Loki-esque from the Marvel Cinematic Universe. Like, Dante is very similar in the sense that he is constantly trying to save Virgil. Like, he's constantly trying to, not hurt him, to redeem him, to prevent him from, doing stuff. You see that in Devil May Cry 5 when Devil May Cry 5 is telling in the sense that Dante finally gets to the point where he's like, the only way this is going to end is if one of us dies. Mm-hmm. And that is actually where Nero starts shining, is that point, which we'll get to here in a second. Devil May Cry, so that's Devil May Cry 3 is Dante, or Devil May Cry 2. Um, Dante gets trapped in the demon world. You see that Dante has matured as a character. He's still, now when you get to Devil May Cry 4, you get the reintroduction of Dante as the forgive me, the smartass. Like he's still definitely that figure, and he kind of goes back to the Devil May Care attitude. But you do see that glimmer of, no, there is actually something within Dante and Devil May Cry 2. Yeah, chat's talking about the Devil May Cry 5 nod of Cerberus. We'll get there. We'll get there because I actually really like that nod. Dante, okay, so Devil May Cry 4 brings us back into the human world. Dante and Trish are now looking at a rumor of a corrupted member of the Order of the Sword, which, if you remember from the beginning when we were talking about Sparta, this was the religious sect that was created by Sparta kind of in order to help protect the world. Well, now there's rumors of corruption within the order. And through this exploration of these rumors, you actually are introduced to Nero. The telling thing about Nero is, Nero is the son of Virgil. Virgil is Nero's father. And Nero what?
I thought Nero is the son of Dante.
No, Virgil is
Really?
Nero's father. Yeah, which is what comes, which makes what Virgil does to Nero even worse. Because, surprise, Virgil's not really dead. But Nero is currently the owner of Yamato, who is the sword of power that Virgil wielded for the large majority of it. It is also here that you see Virgil reappear and cut off the hand or the arm of Nero. He takes Nero's arm and Yamato, which is fun because it's like, wow, okay. that was thing. And I think if I remember correctly, Nero does remember his father. I'm trying to make sure because and Black Flag in chat's talking about that. Dante is Nero's basically proxy father.
Okay.
He basically raised Nero once he found out about him. While Virgil is definitely his biological, it's like the situation. Virgil is his biological father. Dante is actually his family. I'm trying to remember if you see the arm removed in 4. I want to say he's got the arm removed in 4.
Oh, the what is it called? The trigger.
Devil trigger.
Devil trigger. That's what it is.
Nico or Nicolette created that for him.
I didn't play 4. I played a tiny bit of 5.
5 was really, really nice. But yeah, so similar to Dante and Virgil because of his blood relation to Sparta, he does have demonic capabilities or demonic abilities. For the most part, in 4 at least, he was very anti his demonic abilities. He considered it a curse. And I know the Devil Bringer was his arm. I'm trying to see. Because the Devil Bringer, I think, was when his arm was removed. Sorry, I'm just trying to make sure I don't speak out of turn with the Devil Bringer.
No, you're good.
Because I'm trying to remember if the Devil Bringer was something that he was born with or if it was something that he acquired. because basically, okay, so the Devil Bringer, while I'm looking, the Devil Bringer was Nero's right arm, and
Yes.
basically it looks like it originally looked like reptile esque thing. I think he was born with it. Um, so basically it's like this. It's the proverbial like devilish looking skin and all this, and it's got like weird power. I don't know. It's very very stereotypical. Corruption, power, blah blah blah. And for the most part, in Devil May Cry 4, Nero kept it hidden. And he didn't like it. He didn't, he resented it. For the most part, he thought that he was cursed with it. And around the end of Devil May Cry 4, that's when he actually kind of starts seeing it as a tool instead of a curse. Unfortunately, right before Devil May Cry 5 begins, this arm is forcibly taken. It's actually ripped off by Virgil, who steals the arm and Yamato. Now, in Devil May Cry 5, the figure of Nico Nico is introduced, and she brings, I want to say it's the Devil. I think they still call it Devil Bringer. But I think it might. I'm trying to remember. Yeah, Svaltis in chat. Yeah, that's where I'm like, the Devil Bringer is like really weird because there is a weird connection to Yamato, because that's why Virgil steals the arm, and then you see Virgil having absorbed the arm. And also the thing is, with the Devil Arm or the Devil Bringer, the only thing that seems to be able to damage it is the Yamato. So yeah, there's a really kind of its own little nuanced story behind the Devil Bringer that I wasn't planning on jumping directly into. But anyways, so right before Devil May Cry 5, you see a cutscene of Nero in a garage, and a figure in hood, or a figure in a cloak, approaches, and Nero, in standard format, kind of is like, what the hell you want? And the figure rips his arm off, like literally rips his arm off, and then also takes Yamato with him and disappears. Now it later comes to light that this figure was Virgil, who was looking for a way to reacquire power, which is very stereotypical with Virgil. And this is getting into Devil May Cry 5, which I'm much more, at least more familiar with, because I just have currently reviewed it. The other stuff, like the other ones, I was doing mostly off distant memory, and I apologize if I got anything wrong on those. Devil May Cry 5, I'm a little bit more comfortable talking about it. So anyways, Virgil's introduced, though we don't know it's Virgil at the time. He rips Devil Bringer away from Nero, and takes it and Yamato. This injury basically also solidifies a relationship between Nero and Nico. Nico is the ancestor of the same weaponsmith who created Ivory and Ebony for Dante, those are his two pistols, the two very powerful pistols. She is related by blood to that. I think that was her grandmother or her mother. I can't remember which one, the exact relationship there. But Nico then takes the challenge and creates a artificial cybernetic arm for Nero. And the cybernetic arm allows him to continue fighting with, I think it's Red Queen at the time. I don't think it's Rebellion at that moment. I want to say it's Red Queen, the sword Red Queen, which is another, it's not as powerful as Yamato or Force Edge, but it's another really powerful one of the Okay, thank you, Svaltis, in chat. It says in the guidebook that Nero was born with the Devil Bringer. Thank you very much. But so the introduction to Devil May Cry 5 is where you actually also see a deviation from Dante being the primary protagonist. Nero starts taking over almost like there is a equal share between Dante and Nero. Nero is introduced as, when you first start fighting with him, you get the Red Queen, I believe is the sword. Yeah, thank you, Black Flag. Yes, the Red Queen. Red Queen is where he starts fighting, and you start figuring out that basically the situation is that Dante was approached by an unknown figure named V, and just keep that in mind. And V presents the situation as a powerful force is trying to break into the human world from the demon world. This is a force that is even more powerful and more dangerous than Mundus, and that's all that he will say. But Dante, Trish, Lady, and V all four go into the Hellgate in order to stop the attacks that are starting against the human world. Nero comes in after to help as well, but only gets there in time to see Dante, Trish, and Lady have been all completely pretty much knocked askew. V is no longer there. V had basically he saw the fight and saw that it wasn't going well and told them that he was going to go get reinforcements, which is you kind of get the feeling that he went and got Nero. And then Nero and him come back in time to see Dante get basically destroyed by this character who is Urian, I think is what his name is at the time. Dante at this point makes a comment about Nero being dead weight and tells V to get him out, which Nero actually gets really pissed about because he doesn't appreciate being called dead weight. And that comment is continuously brought up through Devil May Cry. Sorry, Svaltis. Yeah, okay, thank you. So Nero actually uses the dead weight comment throughout the majority of Devil May Cry 5 as kind of a catalyst for getting Dante, because he's like, no, I'm going to show him that I'm not dead weight. And so throughout the game, basically, you play as as Nero and V. You split between Nero and V to get back into the tower that the main bad is situated in. At which point you find the Force Edge and Dante, and this introduces Dante as basically being. You kind of see Dante in his full power. And that leads into the revelation that what had happened was Virgil, in his quest for power, had used Yamato and basically killed himself with Yamato. Except it didn't kill him. What he did was when he stabbed himself with Yamato, it actually segregated his demonic side from his human side. V is the humanity piece of Virgil. And I want to say it's like Urian or something, is the demon piece. And so that's where it's like he cut out his humanity. Yeah, Svaltis in chat. He cut out his humanity. And in doing so, the creature that was left, the demon part, is completely evil. Like, it's completely unfettered, has no compassion. Urizen, thank you. Nothing. And so because of that, he has no problem doing what he needs to do to gain more and more power. And so basically what happens is Dante he basically does a similar thing with Force Edge. He stabs himself with Force Edge. He ascends because he absorbs the Force Edge into himself, which is something that is very interesting, because where Yamato is supposed to sever, Force Edge is kind of it's not really the opposite, but it doesn't quite do that. But Dante becomes the sword. And then because of that, he gains the power of the sword, which increases his power and gives him the ability to conflict with Urizen. In the process of fighting Urizen, Dante actually manages to defeat Urizen, giving V the opportunity to betray everybody, and reabsorb Urizen into himself. Once Urizen has been reabsorbed into V, he becomes Virgil once again. However, he is no longer Virgil as a weak. He's not really a thrall, but he's reborn basically, and he has the power of Yamato again. He's got all the power that he has acquired through. He consumes an item at the end of Devil May Cry 5 that is basically the unadulterated collection of what's equivalent of like soul power, because that's one of the reasons demons hunt humans, is they acquire power through the blood of humans, through sacrifice and all that. So there is an item that basically condenses all that power into it's like a blood fruit type thing. Urizen consumes that right before Dante defeats him. Well, then V reabsorbs Urizen after he has... So, like, Urizen absorbs that power, and then V absorbs Urizen. So now Virgil has the superpower of Urizen and himself, and basically that's where Dante Sphaltus, Devil Sword Dante, and Virgil then go head-to-head. And this is where you get into the really fun part with Nero, because it's when these two brothers are going just full out at each other. Because this is also where I was making a comment. Dante kind of is like, okay, look, you're not going to stop. Like, this is obviously, you've betrayed me enough times. You have it's just basically, he's kind of coming to accept the fact that Virgil is going to
be a jerk.
Well, it's just like, in order to save people from Virgil, he's going to have to kill Virgil, which is not something he makes the decision of lightly, but it's also kind of like Dante's not getting younger. You kind of see that with Devil May Cry 5. Dante is presented as an older figure. He's not the young figure. Yeah, he's not the young buck that he was in Devil May Cry. And he's like, it basically is like, look, this has got to end. This has got to stop. But it's because of, Sphaltus, thank you. Middle age. Let's go with that one. That's a good compromise. It's because of this conflict, actually, that Nero is basically kind of forced to really embrace his true demonic powers. And so you see like this just awesome cutscene at the end of Devil May Cry 5 where Nero, so they're fighting, Dante and Virgil are fighting. It's like the most aggravating fight to watch, but they're fighting, and Dante's actually going, like, Dante is holding his own, if not doing a little bit better. And right as they are going in for the kill blow for each other, Nero jumps in between the two of them in his own form. And basically this determination, this will to save his family, like he finally kind of like, it kind of clicks that Virgil is actually his father, but Dante is the guy who raised him. And like that realization of this is his family and he can't stop, like he doesn't want the two of them to kill each other. As he kind of realizes that determination really kind of resonates within him and allows him to regrow his right arm. And it not only does that, but it also brings back all the powers of the Devil Bringer into him without corrupting his arm. So he has a normal arm. He's got all his powers. And then he jumps in between Virgil and Dante as his own form of demon. And then... Yeah, and so then he basically just it's just like oh my god, like if you don't do anything else, I definitely recommend going to watch this cutscene because it's just hilarious watching Nero just knock the two of them around. Dante even like he gets slapped by Nero, and Dante like just like he's like nope, I'm good, like I that nearly killed me, I'm all right, like he calls it just from the beginning. But then what happens is after he stops them, it basically gets revealed that in order for them to actually save the human world, they have to cut. I can't remember what the. Oh my gosh, I can't remember. There's this plant. That's the entire point of this plant, is to create this fruit that Urizen was searching for, and it's a plant that grows from the demon world into the human world, and so they can't rip it. They can't cut the plant. They have to go into the demon world to destroy it. Well, Nero was gonna go, and then Dante or Virgil was like, no, I'm gonna go. And Dante's like, well, I'm gonna have to go to make sure that you actually do what you say you're gonna do, because you're the reason why all this is happening. So Dante and Virgil basically knock Nero back, and then they jump into the demon world, and it closes behind them, where they then cut the plant down. And the game kind of ends. After the cutscene, or after the credits on Devil May Cry 5, you see the situation that's currently now taking place is Nero is fighting on the human world side and cleaning up the problem. He's basically cleaning up the problem there. Dante and Virgil are as apparently locked in constant battle with each other, but they're constantly, right, as every time they start, like one of them gets the upper hand, they keep getting interrupted by other demons. So they're they're in this like demonic form of Valhalla, where they're constantly fighting each other, and then they have to join forces to beat off the attack. And then as soon as they're done fighting the attack, they turn back and they start fighting each other again. It's like, and of course they're like keeping points, which is,
Of course they are.
I mean, it's oh my god, it's like, I'm like, oh my god, this is such a sibling rivalry. And then you see Trish and Lady have taken over, for the most part, Devil May Cry, and they are now taking jobs to keep the rent, basically, to keep the shop open. But that's a really quick rundown, and I'm sure I've missed a number of points. But
I mean, there's lots of nuance type things that go on too. The big thing with this game is that there's as much humor as there is darkness, which is kind of fun. Not like it's making light of things. But...
Oh yeah. Sorry, one of the humor things is like the reason they have to keep doing jobs is because the guy Morrison, who is their like broker, is also their landlord. And he keeps turning off the power because they keep not paying the power bill. And he's like, the power bill's got to get paid, guys. And like every time they're like, oh, fine, we'll do a job. And he like will credit them power. And it's just like Devil May Cry 5 starts with everything in darkness on the building. And Morrison walks in, and Dante's like just sitting there because I'm trying to remember
it's
who.
Like bad film noir.
Yeah, no. Well, it was funny because like his phone's dead, and apparently, I can't remember, but someone's bugging him to go to a birthday party, and he doesn't want to go. And like he's like, I have no inclination to get the power back, because then that means I have to. He means that he also has to go to the birthday party. And Morrison's like, yeah, but here's your power. And he turns on the power, the phone starts ringing. And basically that's how Morrison introduces V, is because Dante's like, please give me an excuse not to go to this party. And Morrison's like, well, actually I have this job here. And then, yeah, Svaltis. It turns out at the end, once Dante and Virgil are trapped in the demon world, apparently Dante didn't trust Trish or Lady, so he gave the deed to Devil May Cry to Morrison, or the building to Morrison, because he's like, I don't trust the two. There were some choice words being said, and Morrison's like, I mean, ladies, don't trust the two. That was so funny. But yeah, and so then like they're like, well, we don't have to do what you say, and like as they're arguing with him, the power goes out, and he's like, power bill's gotta get paid. It's I kind of like Morrison. Morrison's fun.
Yes. Yes.
Oh, rip my voice.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and I'm trying to remember if I mean there's so many events that happen, like not just in the game but also like outside the game, like,
Who was
Redgrave
the
City incident. And what's up?
Who was the creator of this game? Who was
This
the company?
Capcom was the predominant name. Ninja Theory did do Devil May Cry DMC, but
Right.
again, that was not that
That
deep.
one. A lot
It,
of people don't
a lot
consider
of
it
people,
canon.
well, it's not considered canon. It's considered an alternate storyline because Dante, like, so Dante is often presented with silver hair, and in Devil May
Mm-hmm.
Cry DMC, he doesn't have, like, it's not Dante. Like, it's a character named Dante, but like it's really weird. Like it is Devil May Cry, but it's not canonical Devil May Cry. And there's a lot of controversy slash debate about like where exactly they were going with it, but ultimately it's not canonically within the series storyline as the main titles. And with Devil May Cry 5 having come out, I'm trying to remember, DMC was 2013, and then Devil May Cry was 2019. With Devil May Cry 5 coming out and just recently, Devil May Cry
Mm-hmm.
5 goes back into the world of Devil May Cry 4. So they don't acknowledge Devil May Cry DMC and Devil May Cry 5, which is where you also see the kind of the nod that it's not that it doesn't exist, but it's like the way I view it is like in Marvel comics, how you have like the perennial Civil War, events that kind of are like, here's a fun little thought exercise for the story, but it's not canonically within the story really. That's kind of what
Mm-hmm.
I kind of get the feeling that DMC was. But the creator was Hideki Kamiya. And I mean, to be fair, this series was first released in like 2001. I mean, this is an 18-year-old series. It's got a good amount of information built
Time.
into it.
Yeah.
His fault is Devil May Cry DMC is the awkward stepchild that no one talks about. I'm trying to see. Quillfloth. That Quillfloth is the plant that I was thinking of for Devil May Cry 5.
The plant that Virgil's
Yeah,
looking for, or
well, the plant that creates. Hang on, real quick. I will get the term because, as you can imagine, some of the demonic world terms are really interesting. The Quillfloth is a tree that existed before the birth of the underworld itself and grows a fruit that imbues a demon with divine power. Even Mundus himself needed this fruit to become king of the underworld. It thrives on human blood, and whose blood it sucks turns into lifeless husk. Wow. Blah, blah, blah.
dang. So it's a Venus flytrap of death.
Yeah, the title of the thing in the what's the word that I'm looking for? Guidebook. Thank you. That's the word I'm looking for.
Mm-hmm.
For Quillfloth is blood slicked vegetation.
Blood slicked
It is a
vegetation.
demon plant, and Urzin summoned it to the human world in order to create the demonic fruit in order to gain the divine power.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, there were, and kind of a nod there. Black Flag. There is a nod to Yggdrasil in the fact that the Quillfloth has a parasite within it that you can use to open up various doors, called the Nidhogg, which is connected to the Yggdrasil.
The Yggdrasil, that isn't that a
Norse mythology.
yes.
That's the world that connects the 9 realms. Or sorry, that is the tree that connects the 9 realms. Wow,
There
sorry.
we go.
I was like,
That-
did I? Yeah, my brain is kind of all over the place at the moment.
Don't worry, I'm going to be like that next month.
But I'm trying to see, because because it's a Capcom game, there's a lot of crossover, and I'm trying to remember, because I want to say that I'm trying to remember what games it does actually cross over into, and I cannot remember for the life of me. I apologize for that. Do.
You mentioned the Bayonetta.
Well, yeah, because the Bayonetta is very it's very similar to the feel of Devil May Cry. I'm just trying to remember if it actually sorry, it like the figure of Bayonetta, like I'm almost, I mean, I need to put Bayonetta on the extra lore too, because Bayonetta has,
Beard would love you.
oh my god, Bayonetta is like the weirdest, most awesome series, because it's a mixture of like really mature content, but it's also not. I don't know how to explain it. Like, the entire concept of Bayonetta is the main character has supernatural hair, to really simplify it. Like, it's really weird, but it's really well explained. And especially with the most recent Bayonetta that just came out, you see a lot of really crossover, or not crossover, but a deepening of her particular story. Like, and again, because it's a Capcom series, you know, the All-Star Battle Royale and the Ultimate Marvel vs. Capcom, you know, like a lot of these fighting games, they have Devil May Cry characters in there, but I strongly argue that it's not
Canonical.
That's not canonical. That's just is like them, you know, being business there. But they have made a comment, and I'm looking for if I can find it real quick. Because I'm really, if I remember, one of the creators made a comment about being interested in doing a crossover between Bayonetta and Devil May Cry, which makes me think that they might be in at least the similar universe. But I can't, for the life of me, find it at the moment. Oh, yeah. Kayama, now working at Platinum Games, has expressed interest in making a remake of the first installment, as well as a crossover game featuring Dante and Bayonetta. So, I mean, again, you know, there's what does that mean? You know, all that. Because Bayonetta, I believe, is not Capcom. I'm trying to real quick to look this up. Yeah, it's Platinum Games, Sega, Nintendo. So yeah, they're not the same universe necessarily. Cool. All right, so I found that out. And yes, I will actually, now that I'm talking about that, I will put Bayonetta on the extra lore, because that is another really, it's just a really, a lot of these series have just so much symbolism in them. You know, it's like with Devil May Cry, you have, you know, Green, you were kind of commenting on it, like you have this really cool combination of a character who is very anti-hero, but he has a really strong sense of justice. And you know, that's kind of what his redeeming qualities in a way. And then you also have this really unique blend of humor and satire, but at the same time, it's tackling topics and storylines that are very mature and very, very somber. Like I said, at the end of Devil May Cry 3, the naming convention of the entire series is explained because Dante actually breaks down and cries because he wasn't able to save Virgil. And Lady makes the comment about, hey, it's okay, even devils may cry. And that's where the Devil May Cry, the business in game and the actual series kind of title kind of comes from, is that even devils may cry. And so there's this kind of a really cool little message there as well. I know you also had mentioned, the cool looking, or the really fun debate over the concept of
nature versus nurture.
Nature versus nurture, because you see that with Virgil and Dante. Now, granted, we don't really fully get a picture of like the nuances of how they were raised. Virgil is the older sibling. Dante is the youngest sibling. But we do know that they obviously reacted to the trauma that they've experienced throughout their lives very differently. Virgil becomes very almost too he becomes almost sociopathic in his pursuit of power, in a way, and maybe in a way to defend himself from ever being hurt again, whereas Dante internalizes that trauma and makes it where it's kind of like, he wants to prevent other people from being hurt if he can, or at least not necessarily that, but at least he wants to make sure that justice is given. Justice needs to be given. And also you see with Dante this refusal to battle with people who are weaker than him. He doesn't believe in that. He doesn't believe in the strong picking on the weak, which kind of ties back to Mundus is the killer of Eva. Well, Mundus was the king of the underworld. A single human woman was not able to withstand him. And so there's like this whole thing of like, Virgil internalizes that trauma very significantly different than Dante does. Dante saw it as a dark and an abomination. Virgil, just from what I've seen, it's kind of like Virgil might have seen that as, oh, this is the way of the world, and I have to become this in order to survive. Whereas Dante saw it as, this is the way of the world, and I'm going to fight against that because that's not okay. It's that, but and that goes back into the, is that nature, or is that nurture? I mean, it's kind of like, you can go both ways on that, because Dante does kind of have, it's called out that Dante is very similar to Sparta in the sense that he has a sense of justice, but then Black Flag is pointing out that Virgil arguably is the sense of vengeance, and both of them, right? Both of them in an unadulterated, in a unfiltered, unadulterated form, both of those are wrong. Justice without morality is dangerous. Vengeance without justice is dangerous, which is why, again, you see the two characters being given half of the same token. They need each other to balance each other out. And that's kind of another like symbol that's going on within that series, is Dante needs Virgil. Virgil needs Dante. Like, as much as they hate like dealing with each other, they do actually balance each other out, because they are really two sides of the same coin, in the sense that they are also on a power level able to withstand each other. They're actually able to keep each other in check. Sorry, my throat is right. And sorry, Black Flag is also, that's also, you see that as the point of being like, every single major crisis that gets solved in the series requires both of them to be there. Like, you can't, there is never a solution achieved without both of them being present and usually having to work together, even though they get really pissy with each other.
Yep. Gotta love that brotherly love.
Mm-hmm. And Nero is the best. I'm really actually, after chat's talking about how Nero is related to him, like after looking or watching the ending of Devil May Cry 5, I'll be honest, Nero, I am really excited to see where they take Nero's character, because yeah, Nero seems to be the perfect balance between both of them, and which makes sense. Nero has the familial,
The upbringing by
he has the
Dante
upbringing of
and the
Dante
blood
and
of
the
Virgil.
nature, the nature of
Mhm.
Virgil. Like he's got it's a really interesting thing. Chat was asking about the origin of Devil May Cry. The origin
The
of the
origin.
name for Devil May Cry, the shop. The origin of the name comes from the words Lady used to comfort Dante over Virgil's loss in Devil May Cry 3. Dante later renames the store to Devil Never Cry based on what he himself told to comfort Trish, although he does eventually change the name back.
Creative name connotations. Trish is such an interesting character. She gets into so much trouble, though.
She does. It's so great. Like Trish has some like,
Trish and Nero get into so much trouble.
yeah, Nero is like, I mean, and Nero is presented as like the young, I mean, he's a young demon hunter. So it's kind of like
Kind of
he kind
Playboy-esque, too.
yeah, he constantly is getting in, he's constantly just like, he won't say no to a challenge, basically. Um but yeah, Trish is identified as a fiendish femme fatale. Uh
Accurate.
yeah, no, she is. I'm trying to see the call out for Trish, really, and this is where this is where Dante kind of is not really able to say, Dante's not really able to say no to Trish. Yeah, and Black Flag just said it in chat. Trish is a demoness that looks identical to Dante's mom. She looks just like Eva. And so that's also where she uses that to get past Dante's defenses when she first is introduced to him. Trying to see where that was. Because yeah, okay, so yeah, she originally was presented as cruel and uncaring, but however, after being saved, she did begin to develop emotions and compassions towards Dante, and then yeah, she eventually sacrificed herself to save him from Mundus's attack. After being revived, Trish joins Dante as a partner for the shop. Though by the time of the animated series, she has gone off on her own, and then when she comes back, she brings back Lady. That's how Lady gets reintroduced into the series. She had infiltrated the Order of the Sword, which is something she like constantly makes fun of. Yeah, she likes getting in fights, which is another common.
Are there any other major characters besides those? I mean, we talked about those four mainly:
yeah,
Trish, Dante, Virgil, and Nero.
Dante, Virgil, Nero. Blah, blah, blah. Dante, Virgil, Nero. V is
the landlord.
Yeah, Morrison. Trish. Lucia is a character that I think that was in Devil May Cry 2. Lucia was in. Lucy was an interesting character because she was kind of like a homunculus. She was a mannequin demon. she actually went as far as to betray the father figure, or creator, that was she betrayed her creator in order to save Dante, basically. And she became a devil hunter, or devil hunter, which is basically what they're called. Demon hunters are called in Devil May Cry. I can't remember if I want to say she's still in around. She's not in Devil May Cry 5. Yeah, because okay, the last we heard from her, according to the guidebook, is several years. So after Dante returns from hell and the events of Devil May Cry 4 take place, we hear that a demon by the name of Argosax sends his right hand man Balrog into the human world. Lucia, under the orders of Matir, is sent to deal with the demon. So as far as where she is currently, I believe we do not have any confirmation at all. Though there is a novel, Devil May Cry 5 Before the Nightmare, where Dante reunites with Lucia to defeat Balrog, and that's also where we kind of get the sense that Lucia has some feelings for Dante as well. So. But yeah. So, and I will also link the wiki that I use. I mean, again, a big shout out to the guys who keep these wikis updated, because geez, some of these things are convoluted as all get out. Really quick.
I tried listening to a video on it the other day.
It's one of those things where it's like, just after a game's been around for 18 years, it just there's a lot of stuff. It's just there's a lot of nuances. Real quick, I did mention Nico. Nico is predominantly built in Devil May Cry 5 as a supporting character. I don't know. I am not a fan of Nico's voice. I can't. I'm just not a fan of it. I don't know why, but her voice doesn't match her like when I was watching it. Well, no, when I was watching the cutscenes of Devil May Cry 5, the voice of her does not match her her presentation does not match her voice. Like in my brain, it just was like it was not connecting. It just wasn't connecting for me. But other than that, I love her attitude. Her character is just great. She's got a amazing sense of humor. And she's like addicted to constantly being, she constantly tinkers with things. So she's constantly like building new weapons for Nero.
Like Tiny Tina.
Yes. Sorry. Yes. No, yes, exactly. But with demon parts, like if
Tiny Tina had access to demon parts,
and that's
totally
absolutely a terrifying thought. But that's just absolutely terrifying now. But let me see. Nell Goldston. Yeah, Nell Goldston was her grandmother, and Nell Goldston was the weaponsmith who created the ebony and ivory pistols. So Nico has a bit of pre-existing history with weapon creation and with that kind of that supernatural thing, the cybernetic type stuff. So it's really kind of a really cool thing. Yeah, his fault. She can park. So Devil May Cry 5, there's like a constant running gag that Nico keeps trying to kill Nero with the van that she's driving
Oh
because
my god.
like it is so funny. There are so many times where like, man, I wish we needed some support and just like this giant trailer van just comes crashing out of the middle of nothing. Um it's hilarious. The DMC motorhome, I think is what it's called. It's really funny because yeah, she can park that van anywhere. It's ridiculous how
She's
well
like
she drives that thing.
sliding into
The
parking
one
spaces,
yeah,
parallel
the
parking,
one
and
time I think they actually nearly hit Nero. Nero like gives her grief and Nico's immediate response is, "I'm not driving, lady's driving." And like and lady's like behind the wheel and you just see this like, "Hi." It was like,
oh god.
"Oh
The
man,
one
yeah."
time lady drives.
Yeah, the one time Lady drives is the reason why we don't let Lady drive. Yes, and Nico is also immediately starstruck by Dante, mostly because she's heard like all these like amazing stories about him. This is where you get the Michael Jackson nod Easter egg thing
Mhm.
in Devil May Cry 5 because Nico makes Dante a like fedora hat.
Oh,
Um,
nice.
And when she gives it to him, that's where the really uncomfortable dance scene happens with
Oh god.
Dante. And it's like, I'm like,
Is
I
that the
don't.
uncomfortable dance scene that was all over the internet for a
Yes,
while?
yes.
Oh my god, that thing.
I'm like, no, no, Dante, you
It's like,
never make that noise again.
oh my god, that was awful.
Oh my god, that cutscene. That cutscene was just like, and it was so disjointed too. Like, not in a bad way, but it was like they're in the middle of gearing up for the final fight, and like they're getting ready to go into the final fight, and this cutscene happens, and then Dante's like at the end of it, he's like, "Yeah, I'm keeping this hat, bye," and he runs off, and it's like, wait, what? Like, what just happened? I'm so confused. And yeah, chat. It was just like it was so Dante. Like it was like they gave him a hat, and his immediate thing is uncomfortable dance scene. Um, yeah, and I think chat's saying that the southern twang that kind of was off putting is due to
Oh god. Mm.
her father Agnes, um, which apparently there's a not a lot of love lost between the two of them. Which, interestingly enough, might be why she feels so connected to Nero, because Nero is the one that killed her father. That was in... Oh, because... Okay, all right, now that I'm diving into this one. Agnes was one of the secondary antagonists in Devil May Cry 4, and actually was one of the corrupt figures in the Order of the Sword.
The Sworder? The Order of the Sword? The Sworder?
The Sworder. The Sworda.
I
He's
saw somebody
also...
make a joke about that.
Also, they note that... Oh, Nico's stutter. She has a stutter, a little stutter. She also gets that from Agnes. And yeah, Lux in chat is making a point. That's also why Nero kind of trusts Nico. Is because of the no love lost. Angus does eventually transform into a demon, I believe. Yeah, the one-eyed Dark Knight is the demon form that Nero puts down. So, fun fact there. As far as other characters, I'm trying to just really quick. Morrison, we talked about Sparta, we talked about Mundus a little bit. Arkham, talked about him. Mr. Creepy Jester Man. Let's see. I mean, locations, there's a huge number of locations. trying to see Redgrave City. Redgrave City is the major city that Devil May Cry 5 takes place. And this is also where the Quilthrop is. This is where you like. This is the predominant thing. Yeah. This was the plant. And so basically, this is also just making sure I have everything. It seems like Redgrave City was kind of inspired by London, interesting enough. There's a lot of references to, I guess the developers actually went and studied the actual city of London to create the game city, which is really interesting, actually. Chat. Yes, yeah, chat said Trish. We talked about Trish. Just trying to see any other major components. We talked about the difference between the human world and the demon world. Trying to just make sure. Really quick, there was that. Okay, we talked about that. Team and Negru. I think for a summary point, I think that was pretty good.
I think so. It wasn't overly.
The thing is, and
complicated.
Again,
like there's the main line.
Yeah, and there's chat's talking about demonic arms and stuff, and like devil arm and the devil triggers and stuff like that, and that can get complicated really fast. Basically, it's stemming from the difference between demonic species. Like the way they explain it is that there's humanity and then there's demons. They're kind of portrayed as different species. So like they're not, when they are and they are not the like more Western kind of perception of a demon. It's not like a fully supernatural thing. These are actual physical creatures. They just exist in a different realm. And so it's kind of an interesting dynamic that you have to kind of enter the series understanding that it's not a Christian, Western culture perception of the demon. It's a more holistic view of what is going on here. You have the subjugation of a human or the earth or world of light by the world of darkness. And both of them are equally physical and equally real. It's just how they interact that is different. And you see different strengths and weaknesses on both sides. Humans tend to be more numerous. Demons are more powerful. And so you also get like a sense of demons are generally like even like the higher level demons. You'll see a lot of unemotional qualities, whereas with humans you have the emotion and the ability to hope and love and all this stuff, which is very, very typical of those particular things. You also see humans as being the source of a lot of power, with the whole sacrificial requirements and all that. But yeah, and so that's really kind of, I didn't really want to dive into that particular piece, even though those are very important inside the story, because it's like, those stem from the half-bloodedness, if you will, of the main characters. Dante and Virgil are demonically, or they are demonic, but they are also human. They can transcend both worlds. Nero is also the same. Nero has the blood of Sparta within him, but also has, predominantly human. He's got much more human blood in him. And then you see characters like Trish. You see characters who are fully demon but have chosen to act more human. You see, and then different figures on that nature. Yeah, I think that like I said, I'm gonna link the wiki that I used. I use predominantly to look up stuff. I'll link that in the show notes for sure. Um, Big shout out to the team that runs that one. This is one of the fandom wikis that just I have found that a lot of these guys, or a lot of these teams really, that run these things are just they do amazing work. They do, I mean, predominantly just the amount of information that they are collating together and making sure is at least digestible for the most part is, I can't speak highly enough of the time and the effort that goes into managing and creating these things. But yeah, I guess that's where I'm going to kind of nod to Green and say, you want to do shout outs?
Let's do it.
So what shout outs you got this week?
My shout outs are towards the Gambit Prime, the European Gambit Prime tournament that is, I believe, coming up. I don't think it's happening yet, but that trying to remember who's actually the one who's putting it on. I think it's Anubis who's
Yes.
putting it on. And good luck to all of those playing that. And if you can watch it, please do. I think it's going to be kind of fun to watch and see all the different strats and how the teams work together in a competitive setting. Because we haven't seen that yet. We haven't seen a Gambit tournament like this. And thanks to Bungie for giving us private matches so we can do them a lot easier. It's fun. It's fun to do private matches and go in and wreck your friends.
Yeah. I mean, again, my shout out is to the guys who I referred to earlier, the Devil May Cry wiki team. Again, amazing work. I think this particular wiki has over 1,000 pages. That is, I mean, they're just, the information again is significant. If you guys have any interest in the Devil May Cry series, from my really rough shot and ultimately poor summary here, I would strongly recommend going there. There's a number of YouTubers who have done really good jobs of putting together, I guess they're called cutscene movies, which is basically where they take all the cutscenes from a particular game and put it together as in a movie. And it really does a pretty good job of, for most of these, doing a good summary of that particular title. There's a really good one for Devil May Cry 5. I'll link that one in the show notes as well. It's about 3 hours, I will say that, because the individual who did it, and I'm blanking on the guy's name, and I'm so sorry. Like I said, I will link this in the show notes. But the individual who did it also kept in the gameplay that was relevant to the story, which I really actually appreciate. Because there's things in these titles that are not just in cutscenes that have impact in the overall story, and sometimes that gets it. That
changes some of the.
It changes the nuances of some of the things. Like there's some things that Nero say and sees in Devil May Cry 5 that explain why he reacts as strongly as he does in the end. And it's just, I did that with The Last of Us just recently, and that was like a 9-hour. That's a 9-hour cutscene movie. It was well done, like well done. I mean,
Beyond Two Souls are some of my favorite game movies to watch, as far as like heart wrenching.
Right. Yeah, and I mean, it's one of those things where it's like, if you don't have time to play these games, that is a way that you can experience these stories in a format that's similar, and you kind of, for lack of a better word, you cut out the, I know that's kind of a topic of debate right now, is Sekiro's difficulty, but if you don't like the difficulty of some games, you can look those up and still experience at least a part of that fun exploration part. So big shout out to the guys who do the fandom wikis, and the guys and teams that do all of the cutscenes and everything like that. That's just amazing. But yeah, so I guess we will see you guys next week. Next week we are going to be talking Destiny again. We'll be talking about the Man with No Name, which is going to be a fun one.
And next month.
Next month we are this month, which is April. Wow, April's extra lore topic is Anthem. So I know there's a couple freelancers in our chat, so I'm looking forward to. I'm looking forward to sitting back and learning about this world, because the little bit that I know, it has something to do with the music. I don't know. It's something about a song.
I mean, it's only about. Blue. I'm gonna have a sore throat by the end of it. Like, you've got a sore throat doing this one. I'm gonna be talking I don't know if Beard's played much of it, but I know I have, and I know we have a few people who we've kind of pegged to possibly come on and help with it, because it's extensive. There's a lot of story that you don't necessarily get by doing the repetitive gameplay. There's lots of in-world stuff.
I'm not going to comment about how we might have some experience on games like that.
I mean, it's just something you kind of get used to.
It is. Something you get used to.
Reading things outside a game, or even in game after you pick them up. I mean, it's just something. You gotta put in the time. It's like Elder Scrolls. It's like Destiny.
Elder Scrolls.
I'm
so. Oh my gosh. On that note, they started releasing all the books from Elder Scrolls in actual book format. I'm so excited. But before I go down that tangent, and we'll spend another 5 hours here talking about that, you guys have a great day, great week. We will see you again next week. And, again, thank you so much. Let us know how the audio is going to work on this one, if you're still listening, because I'm going to try we're trying a couple different processes, I guess you would say, on collecting the audio. We're trying to get it a little bit crisper for everybody. So let me know how that goes, and let me know your thoughts on that in our Discord chat, or email us. We have a specific channel in the Discord chat specifically for feedback. Just throw a comment over there, and I'll keep an eye on there for this next week. But yeah, you guys have a great week, and we will see you when we see you.
Bye.
Okay.
I have literally only one card left, and I'm going to stop recording because I don't need to record anymore. I have one card left for Most Loyal. I've gotten all except for one doing this evening. I can't... Oh, okay, somebody else got it. And twice, people have learned how to do the heroic public event in the Tangled Shore. Actually, there's just enough of us to shoot the stupid little white blights. Because those are... Fuck, that is like the most ridiculous trigger for a public event. So twice in the same night, I've been able to kill the machinist.
Oh man, yeah, no, Lux, who was talking about it?
Lux brought up the
demonic
arms.
No, Angelo, Virgil's new Angelo. No, I didn't talk about that one, but freaking Nero's angel wings are hilarious. Like, that's the part that I was talking about with, like, Dante. He gets backhanded with it, and he hits the ground. Oh my god, it's so funny. He hits the ground and he just doesn't move. Like, he's just laying there. And Virgil, like, Dante and Virgil have a very odd, like, it's a very sibling rivalry situation. But Virgil, like, they're both assholes. Like, that's the thing, is, like, they're both just complete assholes to each other. And anyways, like, Virgil makes a comment. But yeah, he accepts the slap. It's so funny. But Nero is like, you're not going to kill either. Like, you're not going to kill each other, and you're not going to kill...
I have a question for you before you...
And like, so, but basically he's like, and Virgil's like, oh, who are you to stop me? And Dante's like, well, he is your son, and, all this stuff. And basically it translates into, Virgil's like, all right, fine. If Nero can beat me, if I beat Nero, Dante, does that count as me beating you because Nero beat you? And Dante's still laying there, like, just like laying on the ground. He's like, yeah, that's fine. Like,
jeez. Do you want me to do any sort of editing to the audio? Do you want me
Nah,
to?
just save it as a
You don't.
wave.
You don't want me to try to do noise reduction or anything on it?
No, because I can, or I mean, if you want to, you can.
I mean,
Just
it takes like
yeah,
30
I mean,
seconds.
if you want to, go ahead and then just let me know, and because then I'll just throw
Yeah,
it in
I'm
there.
just gonna do a noise reduction on it. It's gonna take a few minutes because how long it is, but
Yeah, no, that's fine. If you just want to throw it in that folder on Google Drive, that will be
sure.
good.
And in a wave format. And um, so do you want to try to get Shiz on for Anthem, or who do you want to
Is
get on
that
for
is that
Anthem?
who I was
Yeah, Shizler
I was
is
deferring to whoever you had.
yeah, Shizler is the one who has collected all the lore for us. So we actually have first account of all the scannables essentially in game.
Oh, nice.
It's massive, Blue. It's a lot of reading.
Joy.
But but the good news is it's not just like reading on the Anthem of Creation, it's also on things like the fauna and the flora and stuff like that because they're like Elder Scrolls. Like you're gonna have books on everything,
That's
so you
cool.
don't have to necessarily do all that reading.
Oh
Though
my
some of it
god.
does relate back.
I love the fact that Reddit finally allowed us to use different usernames.
Yeah,
Or
is
not
that what?
usernames, but they actually, like, if you go into your settings with the
Mm-hmm.
new update or whatever, you can put a display name. So
It's
I went ahead and I created a separate account
F, right for
for
Focus Fire Chat.
well, no, for Blue Crew. I was
Okay,
like, because
so you're
I've
not. No one
noticed,
knows you.
yeah, well, because like I've had Reddit since like 2012, 2013, and obviously back then I wasn't doing much of anything on,
FFC. Yeah.
well, I wasn't doing any content creation or anything. I mean, at all. And so my username has nothing to do with that. And I'm just a
Right.
stickler for, I don't want to lose my history. I'm just like, I don't want to lose that. So I just have
Right.
always used that one. But I completely understand people not knowing about that. But so I went ahead and I created a Blue Crew account so that at least if someone pings it, my phone will light up and be like, hey, someone's notified. But they also, what they did was in your, let me see where it was, in your user settings, if you've enacted the new profile, you
Mm-hmm.
can have a display name.
Oh,
So
really?
it doesn't change your username. Um, but like it doesn't change your
Okay.
username, but if here, I'll shoot you a screenshot.
Anon was Anon was setting stuff up or like trying to ask things about it earlier, which is why I sent forwarded that
Yeah,
review.
he tagged me. He was one of the ones that I saw when I got on, because I haven't been um, in Reddit much because
Right.
of work. But like
Nice.
so it's got, like, you can actually have a banner, you can have a profile picture, you can, I mean, you can set an about. I mean, it's very much more social media esque now, which I
Mm-hmm.
actually like. You have a lot of different options with it that I just haven't played with.
I just never use it.
I'm
Like
almost tempted to
I
kick back up the Focus Fire subreddit and see if we get any interest in that. But it's just,
I
there's,
always
I don't know. I like it, but I also am really
mhm.
good. I'm really good at just like ignoring shit posting. Like like
It's not even the shit posting
I'm
that
really
bothers
just,
me. I
I also,
utilize it as a reader. I don't ever create
oh
content
yeah,
on Reddit.
okay.
So the whole upvoting and gold points and I don't even know what the half the
Oh
fucking
yeah, well,
shit
you saw my
is. It's
comment the
just
other
like
day. I was like, the day that I finally understand
upvoting.
upvoting will be the day that I'm like, I can just retire from everything, because I have
Right.
no understanding the
Like
logic, mostly because it's other
yeah.
people. Like
Right.
I'll
I
put
get it on
something and I'm like,
Twitter.
I get downvoted and I'm like, but it was, I'm so
Accurate?
confused. Like I'm like I'm
Yeah.
it wasn't inflammatory. It wasn't like, you know, whatever, but it's like, but why so I just post and I'm like, whatever, fuck it. I don't care. Like
Mm-hmm.
half the Reddit or subreddits that I'm in, that I'm actually active in, I'm a moderator of. So it's like, you can
Right.
downvote me all you want. It's not going to change anything. Like, I don't care.
Yeah, I just don't. I just read and use it as a news outlet more than anything.
The other cool thing is they've added chat features. So
Oh
you
yeah.
can, yeah, in the new Reddit, they have chat, which is like, you can also direct message people. Which, I mean, you know, whatever. It's Reddit, so you know, it's
Right.
I'm sure there's some interesting things going on there. But like, it's really, it's just really cool, and that's where I'm kind of like, you know, I can see some of this stuff being really nice to have as far as some communities. And like I said, I'm tempted to kind of kick back open the Focus Fire chat one, um, just because, you know, it's just another avenue to have people weigh in on stuff.
It is true. I don't know, just the lore ones have become so weird.
Well, and yeah, that's my
It's
and
not
that's
your
part of the
fault. Like
no
Destiny
no no
lore.
Destiny lore is, I have to be, I have to be careful which ones I open, because sometimes I'm like, I don't know how hard I can roll my eyes on some of them.
Mm-hmm.
And I don't mean that
Mm-hmm.
like, I don't mean that as an insult, but it's like, it's just the perpetuation of, hey, I don't want to dig into this for more than 5 seconds. Can someone just answer this for me?
Yeah. Well, I mean, it's that, but it's
And
also
I'm like,
the
what?
crazy theories that they obviously haven't read, and like the tabs related to the
Right.
concept that they're talking about.
Which,
Like I
yeah,
just can't.
yeah. And that kind of goes back into my. I'm like, I've gotten to a point where if I don't get tagged, I'm just probably ignoring it, because like I'll come in here and I'll look at the top or the front page and I'm like, what's going on? Yeah, okay, never mind. Like, I
Mm-hmm.
haven't even touched Destiny the game in a while, because I tried to post over there and it was just,
It's
it
just
was,
salt. It's
well,
just salt
it
all over
was
the place.
that it was that, and it was also, it's just, I mean, again, I don't really know, I've said this before, I don't really understand social media as far as like a shouting chamber. Um and so for me, the constant, just like constant churn of I'm like, I don't care. Like,
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's obnoxious.
I'm looking for information. I'm not looking for necessarily your personal opinion that you're trying to pretend is information, if that makes
Mm-hmm.
sense. It's like, especially when I'm like, okay, this looks like the article that I'm looking for. I open it up and it's like, this person, blah blah blah, and it's like, I don't. This isn't even. And granted, Destiny the game, they've gotten pretty good at cutting that out. But
Most of the
when you
time.
have, I think, what is it? When you have 895,000 people on a Reddit, yeah, it's just gonna be a churn. I mean, it's just gonna be a churn. But yes. All right. I'm going to go pass out because I got a soccer game that I have to take a small person to.
Yay, soccer. Yeah,
He's really
I get
excited.
that. Tomorrow Julie has to work, so I am going to be attempting to do a race with Cole to solo Shattered Throne if she's still up for it.
Nice. I finished.
Ye-
I finally got my. Oh, I think I told you I got my final Seed of Light. So
Yeah,
just
it's
in time.
exciting.
Just in time for Arc Week,
Yes, which is
or
going to be
as Log calls it, Shark Week.
yes. It's going to be crazy. Also, if you don't have Thunderlord, they're opening that mission back up.
Yeah, I already have that.
Okay. I didn't
I
know
need
if you
to.
had
I
played
need
the
to.
Halloween event much or not.
No, I pretty much. I saw Thunderlord come back, and I was like, I'll go grab it. And then I got it, and I was like, and back
Did
to
you
Halo
listen to the
5.
lore with that? There were like 3 lore drops in there. Not that they were super.
Like about Ives.
They were about a couple of different things. It
Oh yeah,
was
yeah. Oh yeah,
more.
yeah. About the creator of
Mm-hmm.
Thunderlord. Yeah, no.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, that and Beard had a video about that actually that he did.
Also,
I think he did a pretty good job on.
the lore this week is about Drifter. It's basically a little bit about Drifter's history and how the Nine don't like him, and Orin defending him. And then Drifter says something at the end about um, basically to not trust Orin and stop going out and visiting her because she's trouble in his mind.
Hmm.
But you get to jump on giant gambit coins to
Oh
get to
God.
her.
Which makes sense because she is the source of those Gambit coins.
Yes.
That's interesting though. If he's saying, I'm curious. I'm curious where they're gonna take the relationship between him and Orin.
He's not happy about where they're at. He doesn't
Well,
trust her anymore. He doesn't think she's the same person. Because he
yeah.
tells you her history from Dust a little bit. He basically gives you the Cliff Note summary of she was an awoken at the reef, and then she was arisen, and then what she is now is no longer either of those two things, kind of thing.
Well, does he also talk about how close they were?
No, he
Yeah.
you can kind of gather that
Uh huh.
from the
From the
way he
tone,
speaks about her. Yes, but there's no actual direct aspect.
because there was a point somewhere. I'm trying to remember where it was, but he refers to her as one of his only friends,
Yes.
which I think was also where I kind of was like doubling down on the fact that he really kind of wants to. I still think that's the linchpin that got the Praxic Order off his back. Was
With
the
Orin?
well, they realized that his goal is very similar to that of Ikora and the Vanguards.
I see.
His method is definitely not, but his end goal is actually not nefarious. Like it's not what they were thinking, because that's where it's kind of like, that's where I was saying on Twitter the other day. I was like, yeah, they reacted the way they reacted because with the information they had, the Praxic Order is sworn to protect humanity against all threats. I mean, it's like the army. You know, you've sworn to protect the states from all threats, foreign and domestic. So the Praxic Orders were doing that. They were protecting against a domestic threat. But
Mm-hmm.
as soon as and the thing is like if you read the scenes of Anor's the book from Anor, the scene where she actually comes up to Drifter and informs him that she's backing off is
Right.
basically her being like, "Hey, we have gotten information that you're not." Like she doesn't apologize, and to be clear, Drifter also misrepresents her in his
Oh yeah.
defense,
I
like
I know that.
the whole thing with the building where he's like, yeah, she kills blah blah. I'm like, well, actually, she didn't. She only killed guardians. She evacuated all civilians from the area. Like, she actually did less collateral. She did more collateral damage to the building itself, which was already a dilapidated old ruin. So, yeah, I mean, she destroyed the train, but she made sure no one was on it. Like, she actually did what you guys do in Gambit Drifter all the time.
Mm-hmm.
She just
Mm-hmm.
did it in the city. But like the part that really kind of solidifies for me Anor's approach is that as soon as she got information that Drifter wasn't a threat to humanity, or well, wasn't as much of a threat as everyone was making it out to be, she backed off, and the Praxics backed off. Like they were like, okay, I mean, we don't agree with it, but you aren't. it's like my approach with Zavala. It's like, I think you're a tool, and I don't agree with your method, but I see where you're coming from.
Right.
And I see where you're going, and I'm not going to not criticize what you're doing, and I'm not going to not pay attention to what you're doing. But for now, you're not crossing the line necessarily. I mean, you're towing the line, but towing the line is not the same as crossing the line. Which is why I also like Instability and Oxygen SR3. Because it's starting to rehumanize Zavala, I think. As again presenting Zavala, and I know people give him shit for it all the time, but it's presenting the fact that the Zavala that we see is not necessarily the full picture. We are seeing the Vanguard mentor Zavala, the commander Zavala. We're not seeing the actual human. We're not actually seeing all the thoughts and processes that are going on. And I know a lot of people get upset about that because they're like, well, they're not being transparent. I'm like, well, I mean, to be fair, what leader is? I mean, there's a delegation of information, or, a segregation of security purposes there that you have to acknowledge as well, especially from a military standpoint. Of course, he's not going to tell you everyone everything. That's just dumb. That's 101 on basic security. But before I spend another 3 hours talking about that, I'm going to go to bed. All right, chat. You guys have a great night. We will see you again next week. Be sure to watch Green. I'm sure she'll stream some of the nonsense that she's going to do. I think most of it we should have hosted, right? Don't we have you set up to auto-host?
I believe so.
Okay.
I think so.
So, all right. Perfect. You guys have a great night. Black Flag Svaltis, thank you so much for your fact checking me while we were talking. Really appreciate it. And again, see you next week.
Yay.